All right.
That button. All right. Let's see. All right. So, let's see what we've got going on here. I think we're live. Think so. I should have to close that. Let's see. Oh, it's playing from a Mac. I'm like, which device am I playing from? All right. I'm going to put this on my Windows. And then, we are live, Michael.
Excellent.
Yeah, so welcome, folks. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes here. I'm super glad that you decided to join me on this awesome stream. This has been an awesome thing to prepare, so super excited for today's stream. And let me see here. Feel free. All right, so let me make sure my speech. I'm just going to switch profiles real quick. We should be ready to go. It's just that make sure my chat. Is it a text message? Okay. There we go. So we are. Yep. All right. So I think we're about ready to get started. Trying to get everything set up here. All right. All right. Wait, what the? Okay, so my chat is loading. Haha. All right, we are good. Oh no, now I'm getting double chat. Oh jeez. I'm getting two TTS voices now, Michael.
Oh no.
Awesome.
Any idea of what's causing that?
Yep. All right, so I think let me refresh this page. Oh, that didn't sound too good. But let's see here. So I think. Oh, I'm not maximized. All right. So we've got two people watching.
Welcome.
Let me figure out how to pause myself. Then we're going to get started. So, all right. I think we're ready to kick this thing off. Are you ready, Michael?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Taylor's Tech Talks Live. With me today, I've got a very special guest. You've seen him on a lot of our shows. And I'm also on his show. So welcome, Michael Doise.
Hello. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, and Michael and I, for context, folks, we actually work together very frequently and very heavily on development and accessibility and everything. And what I like is that I can give a blindness perspective, but Michael is, low vision. So he can give the low vision perspective. And I think that's also why I wanted to have him on today, because we're going to be talking about a WordPress accessibility plugin. And there's two parts to this. There's the blindness aspect and then the low vision aspect. And me, myself, and I really can't cover the low vision aspect because I don't have experience, nor do I have the vision. And so Michael is going to be covering the low vision aspect, and we're going to treat this review like a conversation. So yeah, that's pretty awesome, and I'm super excited that Michael was able to make the stream today. And as a disclaimer, I am very sorry if you guys hear background noises in my background. My apartment complex has decided at the very last minute that it would be a wise idea to start a construction project. So, apologize if that is impacting the ability for the stream, but we're going to make this thing happen. If you are on the stream and you would like to say hi, feel free to put it in chat. We'll be monitoring chats very frequently, and we want this to be interactive. So, if you're watching in chat, feel free to introduce yourself, just say hi, that way we know who's watching, and we're going to get this show on the road. All right, so let me see here. Okay. Let me just do this real quick. There we go. I want to make sure I didn't have two speech voices going. That'd just be ridiculous. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this thing going. So, Michael, are you ready to get started?
Yeah. So what are we going to be talking about today, Taylor?
Yes. That's a great question. So, right, we can't really do anything unless we don't know what we're talking about, right? So, we are going to be talking about the awesome Equalize Digital Accessibility Checker plugin. And let me give you a description about what this plugin is. So, Amber at Equalize Digital and her team have came up with a accessibility checker that's for the WordPress platform. It's an automated tool that will help website developers, agency owners, and the like scan their websites for accessibility issues. Now, it checks for screen reader issues like okay. By the way, Amber says hi in chat. It checks for screen reader issues, and it also checks for contrast. It checks for ARIA, skip links, and WCAG violations. And Amber, who is in chat, is actually the creator of this plugin. So I'm super excited that she's watching this live review. And I'm getting text messages. But yeah. Okay, so let me go ahead, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this show on the road. My phone apparently was not in Do Not Disturb because it does not like to go in Do Not Disturb when I tell it to. So, let me make sure we're all logged in. And what we're going to be doing today in particular is we're going to be reviewing this plugin, but we're going to be reviewing it on a site that I have. And for full context and clarity, I'm using the Equalize Digital Pro plugin, and that gives you an awesome lot of features. But I've had a fun time playing with this. I know when Michael and I were on Discord this afternoon, Michael, you could kind of see, even though you were doing something else, you could kind of see how much fun I was having playing around with it.
You were going through and seeing, making changes to a website, and it would tell you how many issues or whatever it was finding. I wasn't paying visual attention to the actual site, but it was interesting that as you were making changes, it was up, telling you as you would rescan what issues were there. So that was very, very nice. And that is as a plugin, instead of having to go somewhere else to actually run the scan, is also a nice feature because it's built into your website if it's installed. So that's a great addition as well.
Yeah, so it's awesome. And like I said, Amber, this is, like I said, one of the best plugins I've ever tried. and I'm super happy. And again, I can't wait. You were talking about the features last week at the meetup about how you want to try to incorporate manual accessibility testing in the plugin. And if you do that, you're going to have a more awesome plugin on your hands than you know what to deal with. So I really cannot wait until that happens because honestly, like I said, this is one of the best plugins I've ever tried in my life. But without, further ado, little less talking and let's get to it. So again, we're going to be reviewing from the back-end accessibility, but we're also going to be reviewing on a live site. And I've totally, made this site a little bit crazy. It was a Clubhouse Club site, but actually we're going to be taking it in a whole different direction, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother stream. What we're going to be doing today, though, is I have put up a template that actually came from the Generate Press site library. And it is a services business template. So it's, what you'd find in a service-based business, some basic information. It's one of the site library templates. So the site we're going to be looking at today is wpforall.club. I'm going to quick put a link in the chat. While you're doing that, Michael, if you're not logged in, I would go ahead and log in. And also what we're going to be doing during this review is we're going to have live screen share on. So I'm going to be sharing my screen reader. And this is the first time streaming on my Mac. So this is going to be a fun setup. My Lenovo that I used last week for the meetup totally took a dump. So we're using the Mac, and we're also using Windows on that Mac. So we've got both operating systems. We're going to test with both VoiceOver, NVDA, and some JAWS, although JAWS is being a little bit slow. So mostly VoiceOver and NVDA today, but either way, we're going to at least have both of our operating systems represented. So, Michael, are you all logged in?
Getting there, just about there.
All right. So while we're waiting for him to get logged in, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that way you guys can hear the screen reader. We're going to start on the Windows side for the review. So let me go ahead. Obviously, Michael is running a Mac, but in terms of the screen reader functionality of the plugin, we're going to kind of go through all the settings and whatnot. But we're going to go ahead and what we're going to do is we're going to start on the Windows side, and then we're going to eventually move on to the Mac, and then we're going to look at some of the issues, and we're going to kind of go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. You're going to hear NVDA and VoiceOver and the whole and it's going to be fun. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get started. All right, so let's see. Let me see here. I do not have... Let's see. Let me share. Yep. All right. Aw. Gotta love Mac permissions.
Oh, yeah, we didn't think about those.
Nope, but that's okay. Whoops. That is okay. Gotta love it sometimes. All right. We're going to check that. Oh, geez.
And I am logged in, by the way.
I got to relaunch Zoom. I'm afraid it's going to kick the stream. Okay. We're going to relaunch. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't kick the stream, I don't think. Would it, Michael?
I don't know.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do, guys. We forgot that we had to, enable screen sharing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to restart the stream if it becomes kicked out. But I don't think it will because technically in order to get kicked out, it has to be, so you might hear silence. It has to be on the YouTube end. right? I have to go into YouTube Studio. So I think we'll be okay.
The stream should stay up. You may have to reinitiate the on the Zoom side.
Yep. All right, Michael?
Still here?
Are we still live, y'all? If we are, please put in the chat if you can still hear my voice. And you can see me, and you can do all the things. What was that? Oh, that was a weird sound. Okay.
It still shows we're live.
All right, and do you see my screen?
No.
Okay. So. I'm still live. Okay. So. Hey, David. Hey, Amber. All right.
Yep, we see your screen now.
Can you guys hear voiceover? Let me know if you can hear voiceover.
No voiceover. You have to make sure to enable system sound whenever you share
I said
your
share
screen.
sound. I hit share sound. But can you hear voiceover?
No.
No? No voiceover. Okay, let me get that. Like I said, sorry guys. Yeah, this is the first time on this setup and things happen. So I apologize for the little craziness, but let me see here. Sometimes things just happen as last. Okay.
Your screen share went away?
Yep. That's what's supposed to happen. Oh, is there an unlabeled button? Yeah, I could do my headphones, but then you're going to get my crazy internal mic, and you're also going to get a lot more of my background noise. She asked what if I turn off my headphones. Yeah, that would be,
It's going to echo everything back through,
Yep.
pretty much.
So, all right, so share system sound.
If it doesn't, see if that works. If it doesn't, you may have to just go on the Windows side to provide audio.
All right. Okay, I think. Okay.
You are screen sharing.
Am I good?
There we go. We hear voiceover.
All right, sorry, y'all. The joys of a first-time setup. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to actually switch to my Windows system, though, at first. So you'll hear NVDA. And we're going to go ahead and get started with the Windows side. So let me switch to the VM.
VMware Fusion, Windows, VoiceOver off.
Okay. And, of course, VoiceOver is going to be... Okay, NVDA sound. Do we hear NVDA?
Yep.
All
A
right.
little stuttery, but we hear it.
Well, that's just what you're going to get with a VM.
Yep.
So, all right.
Bullet started streaming 2 minutes ago. Clickable toggle button. Bullets to watch. Heading level 1.
So,
accessibility
let
checker, Equalize Digital.
us
Dashboard WP for all WordPress.
go
Google.
ahead.
Dashboard WP for all WordPress. Google Chrome. TaylorAccess.com. Toolbar. Remote button.
David
Remote escape.
Shargal, woohoo. It's working.
Woohoo, it's working. That's what
Jetpack
David
submenu
says. Awesome, David. Okay, so let us go ahead. I'm on the dashboard. Again, this site is wpforall.club. Michael, if you don't mind, are you currently in?
I am in, yes.
Okay. If you're near the chat, I can always do it too. I'm sharing my sound, so we can put the link in the chat.
The chat's being read out through your
Yep.
screen share.
Yep. FYI, guys, chat messages will be read out through the screen share. It doesn't really matter, but I want everybody to know that. So during the demo portions, it will be read out, but you can still feel free to chat. Because it's not like Zoom where it will interrupt the screen reader. So, FYI. And it is a little bit of a lag, so just as a heads up. Okay, so are we ready to begin this thing, Michael?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, so again, we're going to do the Equalize Digital Accessibility Checker. What I'm going to do is I've already activated and already done the first time setup just for sake and clarity of the review so that I could prepare. This website was a Clubhouse Club website like we talked about. However, it has now become a Generate Press template with, I'm going to tell you right now, ready? 1,200 issues detected. Yes, you heard 1,200 issues. I know. But don't worry, because we're not going to fix all of them on the stream. That would take hours and probably days. And who knows, weeks. But that's not the point here. The point is that it caught 1,200 automated issues. Now, obviously, we already know as accessibility professionals that automated tools can't catch everything. So, manual auditing is obviously needed as well. So we'll kind of incorporate both elements and we'll go from there. So I'm going to start by going into the accessibility checker settings and the accessibility checker menu. I'm going to use my insert F7 key with NVDA, which will bring up the elements list.
Elements list dialog. Preview. Jetpack. Submenu 6 of 92. Level 0. A. Available tools. Im expanded 41 of A. Accessibility checker. Visited submenu 58 of 92 levels. Accessibility checker. Visited 59 of 90. Open issues. Visited
I'm
60 of
going to
92
go
level
to
0.
accessibility checker.
Accessibility checker. Visited submenu 58 of 92 level. Dashboard WP for all WordPress. Google Chrome. TaylorAccess.com. Dashboard
It's a little
WP for all
stuttery.
WordPress document. Submenu link jetpack.
Okay.
Welcome to accessibility checker WP for all WordPress. Clickable main menu navigation landmark link.
I'm going to press Control to shut up speech. And this is the welcome screen. So I just want to kind of go through our different elements here. So,
Landmark. Welcome to accessibility checker pro 1.1.2 heading level 2.
I'm going to use my H key to skip to the headings of the page because I don't want to have to read all these 92 items above it, do I? Or however many links there are. That'd be kind of hard to, do. So I always use my H key to skip, and what that will do for folks watching is with a screen reader that will skip to your headings on the page.
Heading level 3 WordPress accessibility auditing guide. Heading level 3 link Equalize Digital.
All right.
Heading level 4 quick start guide. Accessibility checker is here to help you make your website more accessible whether you're new
Quick
to.
start.
Cite these steps to get started checking your content. List with 6 items. 1. Visit the settings page to configure checking settings and simplify summary position.
Okay, we're going to look at that.
Go to the edit screen for the poster page that you would like to check in the free version of. Accessibility checker scan results are only visible on post and page edit screen.
Yep.
Find the accessibility checker meta box on your edit screen. It is typically located below your content. If you are using a front-end page builder, you will need to visit the backend edit screen. To view accessibility checker results as they are not visible on the front end.
Right, we're using Gutenberg, so that's kind of, one of those things. We're not using any Elementors or other page builders.
Or, if there are errors or warnings present on your page or post, open the Details tab in Accessibility Checker to see more information about those errors or warnings and how to find them on the page. 5. On the Details tab, you can expand each item to see the code that triggered an error or warning. If you don't know what an error or warning means, click the eye icon to link over to our documentation for additional information about the problem and how to fix it. After you have fixed or ignored each open error or warning, update your page or post to see the out of list. Watch the video if you would like to see an overview of how to get started with Accessibility Checker. Out of group and
I'm not going to watch the video, but listen to this. Let me go back up here. So,
Available. Group and graphic to get missing image descriptions. Open the context menu.
uh-oh. What does that mean? Well, folks, that is a missing alternative text. So, Chrome has a new thing where if there's no alternative text, it will say that exact phrase. Or any of the other Chromium-based browsers. I'm not sure. What does Mac do, Michael? Do you know off the top of your head?
I do not know if Safari and VoiceOver have a... Well, VoiceOver has where, for images, where you can use a keystroke to have it describe the image, but I don't think it has the automatic alt text that the Chromium browsers have.
Yeah, so for folks that are watching, or, Amber, whoever, on the quick start, there is an unlabeled image above the...
Banner landmark heading level 1 link accessibility checker WordPress Fusion getting started.
Is that above the video, Michael?
I'm not on that screen. Hang on just a moment. And I'm not sure exactly what image that would be. So.
I'm not sure either. But yeah, it does not have alt text. I'll like I said, once you get over that screen, we can kind of talk about it. But and like folks, this is kind of how we audit sites as well. So we're actually showing you like how we do audits together, because typically when we work together, we're in a Google Doc. And we're writing down the issues and the violations, but we're also writing down issues that people will have in terms of usability, not only compliance, but usability as well. So this is kind of how you're seeing how we're kind of working together as a team. And it's really awesome that we can, like I said, bounce ideas and do these things, and especially from a low vision perspective and a blindness perspective. So yeah, let me know, Michael, when you're on that page that I'm on.
So it looks like the only image I'm seeing is to the right of the text. There is a it looks like an image show that says accessibility checker.
Amber Hines, it's the logo, which is decorative.
Oh, it's decorative. Okay, well, that's interesting then. Yeah, obviously with decorative things you don't need alt text, right? That confuse the screen reader.
Right.
But sometimes Chrome can be a little bit annoying in that way, right? Because it's like, oh, there's no alternative text, and I could think it's a violation, but me not knowing it's decorative. So I'm glad, again, thanks, Amber. Like I said, you would know because you made the plugin.
I thought there was a way to mark an image as decorative so that the screen reader would not actually be able to focus, but...
Yeah, because there is, I think, because you can make it alternative text, but without alternative text, but if you do, then you're going to see this problem that we just faced, right?
Amber Hines, I think it might be on the Vimeo video.
Oh, it might be on the Vimeo video. Oh.
That could be it. I think that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, well, and that is, that's the other thing about Vimeo as well, like we talked about last week, and where I prefer YouTube. That's kind of why I'm streaming on YouTube, but obviously you really can't stream video. Video?
Vimeo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Vimeo. Words are hard, y'all. Can't stream on Vimeo, but either way, this is kind of one of those reasons, right? Because I don't have to deal with these crazy alternative text. But anyways, that's just one of the things I saw. But otherwise, let's scroll down a little bit more. Michael, are you seeing anything before I move on from a low vision perspective that you should point out?
No, everything is, well, the contrast is great on the page. Everything, is looking great from what I can see. It's just text in that one video, and the buttons and everything else look very well contrasted.
All right.
Level 2 from. In level 2, clickable but progress bar sliders, menu button, menu button, out of frame.
Oh yeah, and there's a unlabeled button in the Vimeo video. Obviously that's Vimeo's fault, but that's the other thing too, is that screen reader users may have a hard time watching the video if they're like, wait, what does this unlabeled button do? Right? Because it's just unlabeled if you hear button.
Clickable button.
Button. That's a common problem across Vimeo, the embed players, but that's just something to keep in mind as well. Since this is an accessibility plugin, if you're going to have people who are watching the videos, they may not know what that button is. Do you kind of agree with that, Michael?
Yeah, it's they're pretty clearly labeled for low vision users, but
okay.
I will say it is kind of their player is kind of busy.
Okay.
There's a lot of elements to it, but it just depends on the platform and the reason for using a particular platform.
Yep.
Out of frame link, read video transcript.
Read video transcript. I like that. Again, like having the accessibility. The first time I ever did this, I enabled live captioning on YouTube. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I enabled live captioning on my scheduled stream. So let me know, folks, if it's even showing up or if it's even worth anything.
Heading level 4 documentation and FAQs.
Documentation and FAQs.
Done our best to create helpful articles and address the information you may want to review. These are list with 7 link how to manually check your website. Link what to do. Link and hire Equalize Digital to fix accessibility. Link additional resources for out of list. Link read full documentation. Heading level 4 support information.
Okay.
We provide forum. You will need to click go to support forum. If you would like additional support, there are 2 options for receiving list with 2 features to support on in your forum. Feature link access 2. Purchase of accessibility specialists and developers ready to know next heading.
Okay.
Warnings desired. Resolve accessibility priority support plan out of list content info landmark.
All
Thank
right.
you for creating with.
So that was the first page of the accessibility checker. This is kind of the welcome screen, but I always like to review it just so that everybody kind of knows we're on the same playing field here. So let's go ahead and go to our next screen. Oops. And again, I'm going to hit the right key combinations. Insert F7. Again, I like to use this because, again, you see how many links there are in the dashboard. Insert F7, folks, will bring up what's called the elements list in NVDA. And the reason I use NVDA is non-visual desktop access. The reason I'm using that here in particular is, well, for one thing, JAWS was being very slow on this virtual machine. That was one of the things. But more importantly, NVDA is free and open source. And I wanted it to be approachable so that if other developers were watching this, that they could also test as well and they could kind of follow along. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I used NVDA and why we're also going to use VoiceOver on the Mac. So that's just a little bit of a disclaimer there. let's see here. Accessibility checker.
All posts 11 of 89 level 0. A. Add new 12 of 89. A. Add new
Yep.
17 of 89
Okay.
pages. All pages. A. Add new 20 of 88.
So
Appearance.
there's a lot
Visited submenu 20. A. Add new. Visited 34. A. All users 37 of 88. Add new 38 of 89 level. A.
Oh.
Available tools 41 of 89. A.
There we
Accessibility
go.
checker. Visited 59 of
Okay.
89. Accessibility checker. Visited open issues. Visited 61 of 89
So
level
the
0.
next thing is open issues. I'm going to go into that in a second.
Ignore log 62 of 89 level 0. Open it. Ignore
Ignore
log 62
log.
of 89 level 0. Settings 63 of 89 level 0. Full site scan.
Full
Visited
site
64 of
scan.
89 level 0. About WordPress.
Okay.
Submenu 65. Full
So
settings
let's
63 of
actually
89
go in
level
the
0.
settings first.
Welcome to Accessibility Checker WP for all WordPress.
So
Google
Michael,
Chrome
if you
page,
want to
favorites.com.
follow along, go
Welcome
there
to
as well.
Accessibility Checker WP for all WordPress document. Link WordPress. Main menu navigation landmark.
You cut out for a little bit for audio, so could you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm heading there now.
Oh, okay.
Clickable main landmark accessibility checker settings heading level 2.
Let me know when you're there. We can kind of go
I'm
over
there.
it together. All right. So accessibility checker settings. Again, I just use my H key.
Location landmark visited link general. Visited link scan. Visited link
I
license.
like the labels. It says general license scan. I like the link labels there. They're very clearly defined what they do, so good job.
System info. Heading level 2 general settings. Use the settings below to configure accessibility checker. Additional information about
Okay.
each. Setting can be found in the link inclusion documentation dot. Clickable post types to be checked. Box check post. Box check page. Checkbox check post. Checkbox check page. Password protection login. Name.
I don't have any password protected items on here, but I really like how these are labeled. Let me make sure though.
Main landmark. Password
Yep.
protected blank.
Good.
Your website is on the password protected URL that needs a username and pass delete data. Box not check delete all accessibility checker data when the inclusion is
Okay.
installed. Or permissions. Checkbox check administrator. Box not check editor. Checkbox not check author.
Basically for configuring permissions. Again, these boxes are really accessible here, so
Checkbox not
I
check
really
contributor.
like this.
Checkbox not check subscriber. Choose which user roles have permission to ignore issues. Blank. Heading level 2 simplified summary settings. Web content accessibility guidelines. WCAG at the AAA level require any content with a reading. Above 9th grade to have an alternative that is easier to read. Simplified summary text is added on the readability tab in the accessibility checker meta box on each post or page is edit. In.
Okay.
Link learn more about simplified summaries and readability requirements. Clickable radio button check prompt for simplified summary when required. Radio button not checked always. Should accessibility checker only ask for a simplified summary when the reading level of your post. For pages above 9th grade are always asked for it regardless of reading level. Radio button not checked.
I'm just
simplified
gonna
summary
leave
position
some of
before the
these as
content.
default.
Radio button checked after
Because
the
in
radio button
my
checked F.
line of
E.
work, I don't do a whole lot of AAA, right? A lot of my clients are either governments or others who are minimal AA, right? But, you know, from time to time I've had to do some stuff with AAA, but it's definitely a good feature to have. And like I said, there's definitely people that I know would benefit from this plugin already, just kind of seeing what it does. And yeah, I can't wait to actually move on to showing you how the scans and that stuff works. So,
Radio button not checked insert manually. Set where you would like simplified summaries to appear in relation to your content if filled in. Simplified summary. Edit simplified summary. And level 2 footer accessibility
footer
statement.
accessibility statement.
Are you thinking, wow, this solution is amazing and does it helping you make your website more accessible? Share your efforts to make your website more accessible with your customers and let know you're using accessibility checker to ensure all people can use your website. Add a small text-only link and statement in the footer of your website. Clickable add footer accessibility statement.
I really like the ability to do that. That's definitely something very important, is having the accessibility statement. So good job there. It's not really a screen reader related thing, but I like that it's actually able to be accessible because, believe it or not, some of the tools that are out there won't let people who are blind generate accessibility statements. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Uh-huh. It's hilarious, isn't it? I mean,
Very.
no. Yeah, I know, right? And some tools, the automated tools, even have, guess what? I've seen JPG images of accessibility violations. Seriously?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. Like, okay, you're going to have an accessibility tool, but you're not going to make it accessible. Well, all right. Well, then that's fun, but you have to realize that a lot of the people who could be working on your site have accessibility needs for themselves, like disabilities or whatnot. So, long story short is that if you're making an accessibility plugin like this, it's always good to have screen reader accessibility and other disability, related accessibility in mind from the start, because it will definitely make your life a lot easier and it will ensure everyone can use it.
Checkbox not checked add footer accessibility
Okay.
statement. Include link to accessibility policy. Checkbox unavailable accessibility policy page. Accessibility statement preview. Blank. Button save changes. Content info landmark.
So that was the general
Main menu
settings.
navigation landmark link skip to main landmark accessible navigation landmark visited link scan. Visited link license.
I'm going to
Visited
go
link
to
scan.
scan.
General settings heading level 2. Use the setting can be found in the list with 15 items visited submenu link dashboard. Out of list clickable main menu navigation. Out of list link skip to toolbar.
Well, my
Main
focus
landmark
jumped.
accessibility checker settings heading level navigation landmark visited link general. Visited link system heading level
Don't
2
know
scan
what that was
settings.
about.
Clickable background scan schedule. Auto box collapse never.
I like this feature as well, where you can have it scan automatically at certain intervals, really awesome job there. Again, that's definitely very helpful. You could have it set on a rotation. I could see that being very useful. In fact, when I was at my other university, we used Site Improve, and it would send us reports every week, sometimes every day, if we were doing critical accessibility stuff. So I'd literally wake up to a Site Improve report in my university inbox. And it's, I like the idea of having, the accessibility reports on a schedule for it to crawl and, see what kind of issues there are. So definitely a good job on there.
Button save changes. Combo box
Okay, so that's all that was there. And also, again, all I'm doing is literally pressing down arrow and I'm pressing, tab. And then my links, like I said, those are how I get around the settings. But very, very thorough settings and very clearly explained and defined labels. So let's see here. We have license. I'm not going to go into here, although what I am going to say is the license was very easy to activate. Yes, it was definitely very easy to activate, and that license process was fully accessible.
System info. Visited link system info.
System info. Let's just see how this reads.
Heading level 2. Clickable heading level 2 scan settings. Accessibility checker settings.
Okay.
WP for all work. Clickable main landmark accessibility checker settings. Heading level 2. Navigation landmark visited link gender system info. Heading level edit read only multi-line number begin system info. Generated 20 blank. Site info. Blank. Site URL HTTP home URL HTTP multi-site no.
Okay, so this kind of has all the system stats. Well, hey, at least the system stats are accessible, so great job. The system stats are definitely very accessible, so super happy about that.
Hosting provider. DBH, localist, SRV, 4.club.
Again, I'm super sorry about the audio stuttering, guys. This is what happens when you have to work off of a virtual machine. So, yeah, again, I apologize for the audio stuttering. Hopefully it's not too bad. All right.
User browser. Platform, Windows. Browser name, Chrome. Browser version, 92.0. User agent string, Mozilla /5.0, N64, XML, like 5. Blank. Press configuration. Version 5.8.
All right, so that was kind of, again, that's very accessible there.
Navigation, visited link system info. Heading level 2 system info.
Okay, so system info, we gone through all the settings. So, Michael, I want your take. How does the settings look for low vision users?
The settings are great. Typical WordPress interface that we're used to. So I'm pleased with that. Checkboxes are well spaced. Everything looks the way that it should. So as a low vision user, I can easily find my way around this part of the plugin.
Awesome. So I'm just going to pause for a quick second, even though I am on speech. If you do have any chat messages that you would like to do, I'll kind of pause if anybody has any comments, right? Because I want to make this interactive. But yeah, the chat message will get read out. But hey, it actually, in this case, it'd actually be better because then people who may not, be able to see or the chat, they can actually hear the chat messages as they're being played out. So actually, in this case, it could be an accessibility benefit for what we're doing at the moment. So if anybody has any chat messages, I'm going to pause for just a few seconds and allow people to put their chats in the box and let me know what you think so far. If you have any comments or questions, I want to hear them. So does Michael. So if you have any, I will just take a brief pause and I will allow for some questions. But overall, like I said, so far, Michael, you can kind of agree as well, right? It definitely seems...
It's very, very usable
Yes.
on the settings area.
Yeah, and the getting started documentation also is very thorough because I read through all that before stream. So I'm going to wait and see if we have any questions. If we don't, I will move on. I'm not going to really check. Like I said, I'm going to kind of rely on the TCS because I don't want to have to go to YouTube and check the stats. So, but yeah, if we don't have any questions, or I'm just going to wait for a little bit of a lag, but we will move on to actually having some fun. Yes, I know, we're going to have a bunch of fun. What we're going to do is we're going to look at some pages, and we're going to kind of look at that way. But then we're also going to do a site scan, and we're going to see kind of how that works as well. So this is about ready to be a blast. But again, I'm just going to make sure we don't have any lingering questions before we actually start to get in the, the thick of this, where we look at the plugin and look at it in action, right?
Amber Hines, were you losing focus when you jumped to the different setting sections?
Amber, was
General, scan, etc.
Amber, was I losing focus? No, not particularly. There was one little fluke there where I'm not sure if NVDA decided it was going to have a fun time and jump me around. but I don't think it was related to the screen reader itself or the settings, like how they were coded. I think that my browser decided it was going to have a fun time and jump me around. Do you kind of agree, Michael?
That's what it seemed like.
Yeah. If it were to lose focus, you could definitely tell with a screen reader because it would make, behaviors that seem very jumpy, and it would maybe read things out of order or whatever. But no, I was not losing focus whatsoever. It was definitely, like I said, a very standard interface and, very easy for us to navigate. And I think not only was it compliant, right, but it's actually usable. And that's something that I want to get across. Just because something is compliant does not mean it's always usable for us. Right, Michael? You can kind of agree as well.
Correct. Yeah, and it's, a lot of folks think, just because something works, it is completely usable. The other problem with that, though, is usability is subjective. And
it
so
is.
You have to work with the, get a set of users and see if that set can use what you're trying to do.
Amber Hines, so there's a page reload as you move between those sections.
Yes, Amber, there is a page reload as I move between those sections. There is.
Right.
Yep. But, I mean, you could have the screen reader autofocus right to that part of the page, but obviously there's a page reload, right? So it's not really losing focus, but there is a page reload, which is, I just kind of thought, it's just part of the settings, right? Does that make sense?
Right, and that's not just for this plugin. It does that for a lot of different tab-based applications that are using WordPress.
Yeah. So this is a common behavior, but good job. I mean, and this is why we have our shortcuts, right? Like our headings, for example. Headings save us so much time. Because if I didn't have headings, you know what I'd be doing? Up and down arrowing. I wouldn't necessarily be tabbing because not all elements may be able to be accessed by the tab key. But I'd have to up and down arrow, and you know how long that would take in the WordPress backend? I don't even want to think about it. So that's why we have these these commands like H for headings, L for lists. I mean, we've got, just a whole bunch of different commands. Radio buttons, R, X is checkboxes. They will literally skip to that element on the page. E and F for edit and form fields, respectively. G for, graphics. So if you want to check for, images. We've got all these different commands that help us screen reader users navigate because it will help us get on an equal playing field. And, Michael, do you want to kind of talk about how that works with low vision, like how they can get their focus?
So, low vision users, if you're using the keyboard, you usually do have very similar to a screen reader. You have your focus is a box that's wrapped around the text. Okay. And so if you're tabbing or using arrows or things like that, you'll see that. And so it's very visual. You can set that in Windows to be more emphasized. But if you're just using a mouse, focus is really just based on the mouse pointer.
Okay. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I think, like I said, and we're going to have questions come all the way out throughout the stream, but I think it's going to be time. Michael, do you agree? Let's have some fun.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's start off by going into a page. And let's see. Michael, I'm going to go to, whoops. Well,
list dialog.
pages.
Visit 7507P. Post submenu P. Pages. Visit submenu hits all pages.
I'm going to go to all pages. And again, I use my elements list, and then I hit P, first layer navigation, because something to note. Okay, shush, NVDA. Something to note with screen readers is that I can use my elements list, right, my links, and then I can jump to the first letter, for example. So if I have P, pages, I can jump to that first letter of the link that I want to target. So it makes it really efficient. We can navigate by the different letters. That's what I was doing a little bit earlier. And so that's how I found pages, and then I went down arrow and I went to all, and all the pages are located in a table. So we were talking about these screen reader commands. I'm going to use my T key. So T will navigate you by tables. So watch this. See, it jumped right to the table because I knew my WordPress knowledge here that the pages are listed in a table format, right? So the pages are listed in a table format, so are the posts, so are the plugins that are installed. So you kind of have some patterns here, right? And they're listed in a table, so what I can actually do is navigate by table cells.
Title, column 2, link title.
So I'm going to do Control Alt down arrow,
Select about row 2 visited link about.
with NVDA. And what that will do is it will navigate down the currently selected column, right? Because I may not want to hear all the other things in that column, although actually I may in this case, because I want to show you what kind of boxes Accessibility Checker inserts into this page table. But I can navigate by doing this key command, and it can save me a lot of time by not having to try to go through all these different items.
Select about row 3 link about. Edit link edit about button collapse quick edit about inline link move about to the trash link view about.
And NVDA is just reading away.
Log row 4 link log. Edit post page. Select contact row 5 link contact. Edit link edit contact.
So you
button.
notice how I'm going to control, alt down arrow. And control alt up arrow will move to the same thing, and left and right and so forth, so forth. So let's say that I want to hear all the elements in all the columns. So I'm going to press down arrow now.
Edit contact. Collapse quick edit contact inline. Link move contact to the trash. Link view contact. Blank. For author column 3 link Taylor. At stats column 4 link view stats for his post in WordPress.com. Comments column 5 no comments.
That's because I have Jetpack installed and enabled.
Blank. Date column 6 published. 2021/04/25 at 4:08 p.m. Past accessibility test column 7 85%.
Look at that, past accessibility tests. So according to this, it says there are 85% of tests passed.
Accessibility errors column 8
There are 9 accessibility errors on this page.
color contrast errors column 9 7.
There are 7 color contrast errors on this page.
Accessibility warnings column 10 12.
And there are 12 accessibility warnings on this page. And all I'm doing, and again, this is very clear what this is saying. So all I'm doing is I'm literally pressing down arrow to review the different column data.
Ignore accessibility issues column 11 0.
I didn't ignore any issues.
Contact row 6 column 1 checkbox not checked select
So
contact.
let's actually edit one of these pages. Let's see. Let's start with the home page. You think that'd be a good idea, Michael?
Title,
Sure,
column
that'd
2
be
link
great.
Contact edit.
All right, so let's go to our homepage. So we're going to do that. The other technique that screen reader users sometimes use is what we call the screen reader find. So NVDA or VoiceOver or JAWS all have this. Basically, what it will allow you to do is allow you to search the screen and find a specific thing. So I'm actually going to demonstrate this. And usually we start at the top of the page. So that's what I'm going to do. And control NVDA, so your NVDA key is your insert key. Control or your caps lock or whatever you set your NVDA modifier to be. And basically that is kind of whenever you do NVDA commands or JAWS commands or even VoiceOver commands, it's like the modifier key that it's always followed by. So I'm going to do control NVDA F. Whoops. Well, and I hit the wrong button.
Dialog. Type the text
There
you
we
wish to
go.
edit blank.
I'm going to say home.
HOME. List clickable with 15 items. List with 2 items visited.
And of course, it navigated the first result on the page, which happened to be the home link.
And just so you know, there are 2 home pages on this site.
Oh, there are. That is interesting.
Dialog. Type the text you wish to find. Edit pages. List with 2 items visited. Link home. Visited link updates.
Okay, that didn't move my focus. So like I said, all I'm doing is doing
Type the
this.
text you wish to find. Edit selected home. Pages double out of list main landmark table with 13
There we
rows.
go. And you notice now it actually moved me into the table. So you notice how it skipped. So there are 2 home pages, huh, Michael?
That's correct.
Link home. Edit.
All right.
Collapse quick edit home inline.
Well, I don't know what any of these home pages are. So should we just look at the first
The
one?
second one in the list is the primary home page that is currently on the site.
All right, let's look at the second one then.
Button link move up visited link blank. Author alt stats comments blank. Date 20 past accessibility color cop accessibility ignore it select title link edit button collapse quick edit home link edit home.
I'm going to edit home. Feel free to do the same as well, Michael.
Page WP for all WordPress.
Okay.
Main landmark heading level 1 edit page.
So
Clickable document tools tool button unavailable redo toggle
see.
out of tool menu button collapse sub menu preview.
I'm going to now, so what I'm going to do, actually, I'm not going to type anything here, but what I am going to do is I'm going to look for the accessibility checker panel, which is in the form of
Update button. Settings toggle button not pressed. Jetpack toggle button not pressed. Menu out of
Right,
editor
so
content
actually,
region clickable add title.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to press E for the form fields,
Title edit multi-line home.
home,
Block container grouping block grid grouping block container grouping block headline edit multi-line tell the world what problem heading level 1. Level 1 marked content out of marked content you solve.
Okay, so this is like the basic homepage of the site, and
Out of edit out of grouping block buttons grouping clickable block button grouping click out of edit out of grouping block button grouping clickable link add text edit multi-line email US. Edit out of grouping 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 block container grouping clickable menu button collapse sub menu add
so
block.
what you guys are seeing there is how the WordPress block editor reads. And if you want to read or learn more about that, feel free to watch previous episodes of Taylor's Tech Talks, where I explain how screen reader users use the block editor. For this sake, though, I'm not going to go into it because or else this stream would be literally like very long. And yeah, so feel free, though, to watch some of those other episodes of the WordPress Wednesdays. This is technically going to be WordPress Wednesdays, although it's coming out on a Tuesday, but that's just because of timing and all that fun stuff. So, anyways.
Grouping block, container grouping clickable, out of grouping, out of grouping block, container grouping clickable, block, container grouping block, grid
Get
grouping
out
block,
of
container grouping
here.
block, head button, multi-line editable. Clickable accessibility checker, heading clickable.
I could also do my accessibility checker find command as well. So I could literally search for the words accessibility checker if I wanted, but I found the panel.
Button expanded toggle panel, accessibility checker. List with 3 items, clickable link summary. Clickable link
Okay.
details. Clickable link readability.
So
83%. Out of list 83%. Fast test
83% passed,
10.
10 errors,
Contrast error.
12 contrast errors. So what do you think about that, Michael?
So I can see how there could be some of those.
Okay.
I have a big block editor, getting started with block editor thing up here. So let me get rid of that.
Don't you love those?
Yeah, it just kind of gets in the way. And so, it's, the nice thing about this panel is I like that there's a panel on each page. And,
I do too.
This is a template that was generated by GeneratePress.
Yep.
So, it's interesting.
Michael, your
love-
audio is like cutting in and out.
Is it
There you
better
go.
now?
Yeah.
So I like that there is where it says 10 errors in red, and it is a very deep red.
Oh, is it?
12 contrast errors, and that's in a red. So.
Okay. So in terms of those, you really like how it's presented visually. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, and it's very easy to see. I can just look at these things and see what, at a glance, what is wrong.
That is awesome. That is super helpful. Again, remember, because a lot of people don't create accessibility tools, right? And that's why whenever I do automated tools, there's literally only a couple tools that I trust. I've messed with the Axe tools and the Wave, but I do more stuff with Wave. And obviously for WordPress, I'm going to do more stuff with this, Equalize Digital Accessibility Checker. Because honestly, a lot of these other tools are just not accessible for us. So I'm really appreciating this.
17. Warning.
17 warnings, okay.
No. Ignored items. 12. Reading.
All right.
Reading level.
12th grade reading level.
Simplified summary has not been included for this content. Our accessibility checker uses automated scanning to help you to identify if common excessive errors are present on your website. Automated tools are great for catching some accessibility.
And we've got a train. All right.
Problems are part of achieving and maintaining an accessible website. However, not all. Accessibility problems can be identified by a scanning tool. Learn more about link 100% fast test.
And this is true. I like the disclaimer here, y'all, where it says not all accessibility issues can be identified by automated tools. Awesome. I like that because that is true. We were talking about this at WordCamp Santa Clarita. And, 28 to 35 or whatever number we came up with during that talk when they gave that automated testing talk, that's still true. Now, it caught a lot of issues. Don't get me wrong. But a manual accessibility audit done by somebody who knows the assistive technology and who uses the assistive technology, honestly, preferably by a team of people, a team of users who, have different disabilities, will honestly yield a great result as well as the automated. So I think that both approaches are needed, and I really appreciate the emphasis on the manual accessibility testing. It may make people annoyed, but honestly, this is the right thing to do. So I really appreciate that. What are your thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Region editor, publish region button, collect.
All right, so let's look at some of these issues, right? Let's see what we got.
Errors, star access, a simple level,
All right.
reading, 12, ignore 0, warning, 17, contrast 12, errors, 10,
Let's
blank, fast
see.
test 83, list with clickable link
I'm
summary,
going to go to summary, I think, here. And again, very nice labels.
clickable link details, clickable link readability, out of list 83%, fast test blank, 10, errors, 12, contrast
Did that
17.
move, Michael? Did my focus move? Because it doesn't seem like I moved.
It has not moved.
Okay, so I'm having a little bit of a hard time accessing the summary panel. Are you able to access it?
Well, I thought this was the summary panel because we're seeing
readability.
the summary is the different
it?
yes, the details is
Okay.
where you actually go in and see each errors and all those things.
Okay, so that's so what I would say for screen reader feedback for Amber and whoever's watching. Maybe because I know, Michael, there's also a way where it says like currently selected. You know how you've seen that, right? Where it actually, especially we've done this in Bootstrap, where it tells the user what thing is selected. Does that make sense?
Correct.
And I think that would be really helpful to know that the summary panel is selected by default, because we would have no idea and we would think that part's broken.
Actually, in using this on Safari, I selected the summary, and I can tell you that, and if I go to details, visually, I'm not really seeing which tab is selected, so I think that's also an issue there too. There might be some subtle way to tell, but I'm not noticing it. So.
Okay. So again, this is something that you know. And again, we're also going to do a voiceover demo. Obviously, it won't be as, like, you know, we're going to do a lot of this stuff. What?
Actually, yes, I can see if I look really closely, I can see one tab is slightly lighter than the others.
Right, but it needs to be more. We have to have that contrast ratio.
I mean, if the unselected ones are a little darker gray, that would be great.
Yeah.
I could see it, but it just took me a little bit of effort to focus in on it to notice that that's what it was.
Yep, so if we could make those a little bit... Now, in terms of the screen reader, we have no idea what's selected and what's not. Right? Because, again, we don't know. So if I click details...
Clickable link detail, clickable link readability, clickable link details.
And maybe what you could do, Amber and everybody, is when... Because, Michael, are these supposed to be tabs or are they links? Because they read as links with screen readers.
They read as links, but I believe they are tabs. They're supposed to look like tabs because when you select one, the others deselect. That was selected.
So maybe we need to have those read as tabs. Again, this is possible in the WordPress plugins, where it has like the role or where it will read actually as a tab. So it'll say tab selected or tab deselected. That will actually solve this problem. Do you kind of agree with what I'm saying, Michael? Yes. Because right now we think that they're links. And if we think that they're links, then we think maybe there's going to be a page reload of some sort, or we're not exactly sure. So I don't think links in this case, at least the way that links are being presented, would probably be the best approach. I think that having those tabs would be a lot easier. And again, I'm going to also do, like I said, some stuff with VoiceOver as well on the Mac, so you can kind of see that side.
Readability. Link help 1983 button.
Oops.
Link help 1983 source equals accessible.
Uh-oh. What is that? Let me play that again here.
Insufficient color. Link help 1983 source equals accessible.
Help 1983 something source equals accessible. That link label is a little bit fun, or a little bit funny. Not sure what that's supposed to mean. Michael, are you able to tell what that is visually?
Can you go to the element to the left of it and have it read?
12 insufficient color contrast.
12 insufficient color contrast.
So I believe that is the info button. It's a round circle, a round button, a round item with the letter I in it. I believe that is the item that is not being read.
Okay, so it's being read, but the label is funny.
The improper label.
So is it an icon? So I wonder if it's an alt text thing.
I don't know. It is an icon, a info icon.
Yeah.
So
either make it, and again, sometimes, like I said, if we were not sure, right, we would actually go in and we would inspect the element in Chrome DevTools as well. That's something that sometimes we also do in audits, is we will inspect the element in Focus with Chrome DevTools and figure out if it's an icon or if it's a link or how it's presented. So that's just another tip there. But the short version of this, folks, is that the info icon thingy needs to have a better label for screen readers, because right now we're not even sure what this does. And so what is it? Is it info about what? What is it? It says info, but what kind of info, I wonder, is it?
When you click it, it brings up a new page to talk about documentation.
Okay, so maybe you could say like info or like documentation or just something that tells the user what the purpose of that link is or the icon or whatever it is, because right now we're not even sure what it means. So let's go down.
Help 1983 12 insufficient link help button.
Uh-oh, there's an unlabeled button. It just reads button. So with NVDA, we're reading just button. So Michael, do you know what that button is?
Nope, because I followed that link and I have to go back into the page. Give me just a moment.
Whoops. Did it open up in a new tab?
I couldn't. I'm not sure that it did.
So that's something that could be a little bit, that could help users as well. Possibly if it could open up in a new tab or a new window. That way users aren't getting kicked out of their thing.
Now I got to go back all the way in. Give me just a minute.
Okay. So that's something that could help. But folks, while we're doing that, let me know if there's any questions in the chat or what you guys are thinking while we're letting Michael get back in to the site. But hopefully you guys are enjoying this, and hopefully you kind of are seeing how we're working together as a team and trying to make this accessible and trying to point out some of the things that we face as a screen reader and a low vision user combo. So hopefully you guys are really enjoying this. But yeah, we're going to continue to do some more of this. Michael just has to relog in, I think. Because I think the Mac logs you out every second it gets. So.
No, I had to close all my tabs because it also wasn't. From what I was trying to tell, it wasn't letting me go back, so I had to close my tabs.
Okay, so that's something to keep in mind as well, folks. Is that just having the new window or new tab, just something to tell the user. That way they can know, oh, I need to press whatever this key to get back, because that's sometimes the only problem with these things, right? Is that you're like, oh shucks, I just logged myself out. This actually happened right before stream, right? I logged myself out of something.
Also, another piece of advice that may help is when you have these info buttons, typically they mean information's provided in a quick and easy fashion. They're what's also used on a mobile operating system. So this thing just brings up it looked like a whole documentation page. Whereas a lot of these info buttons just bring up a longer tooltip or some kind of a modal to show the information, and it would be kind of nice just to be able to stay on the page to get the information.
Yeah, that's a good point, Michael. So maybe, I was thinking the same thing. So maybe have a modal, obviously, but if you're going to have a modal, you want to make sure it's accessible, right? Make sure we can close it. I know, right? That's one of the most common things is that screen readers get trapped in these modals that they can't close. It happens all the time. So just be aware of that. But I agree, Michael. That's a good point. So let me know. Are you ready to see what that button is?
I'm back in.
Okay. So below the info modal, or info button link icon thing, whatever that is, there is a unlabeled button, and it reads button. Let me play that one more time for y'all. Button. So usually when something's not labeled with a screen reader, it will read as button or unlabeled or something to that effect to tell the user, hey, look, this button isn't coded properly. It's not labeled.
Okay, can you go to the next item, and I want to see something.
Clickable 9 broken skipper anchor link.
Okay. So that button is the expand button. It is an arrow pointing down to expand the list of errors or issues.
Okay. So that needs to be labeled properly. So maybe we could say expand, or what do you think that'd be a good label for that, Michael?
Expand
issues, or
expand. I'm kind of on the fly. I'm not really sure what that. I'd have to think of something, but
or expand errors or something. Just something better than a unlabeled arrow or button, right? So what you want to do here is you want to have a general, a good label that tells the purpose of the button, right? You want to say, okay, if I was a user and I was blind and I couldn't see this button, then I want you to tell me what this button is supposed to do so that when I click on it, I know what's going to happen, right? It's almost like you're trying to describe it to someone. So you clearly know how to label things. It's just, these expandable button things need to be labeled so that we as users know what's going to happen. So, okay.
1962 open source equals accessible. 9 broken skipper anchor link.
Okay, so we have the same pattern here where we have these info icons. Am I correct, Michael?
That's correct.
Okay, so again, we'll want to label these as well.
Help button.
And we're going to have another expand button. Again, not labeled. Right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Now you're going to have to expand one of these to actually see the errors.
And no, don't worry, we are.
Okay. 1940 open source equals accessible.
But
Button. Clickable ARIA hidden.
ARIA.
Clickable with ARIA
I wonder
hidden.
why it read like that. Did you hear how it read ARIA whatever hidden? That's a little. Do you hear how NVDA kind of read that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a little bit funny. But again, these expand. But like I said, this info expand. But yeah, definitely we're gonna expand all of these, or at least a couple of them. We're not, we're not gonna be able to fix all the issues on the site. Obviously, you'll be able to see because there's.
It's reading like that
700
because
of
it is
them.
all capitalized. It's all the letters
Oh,
in
it is.
ARIA are capitalized, and it's
Okay.
actually it's a category.
A category.
So ARIA hidden is a category that can be expanded.
Right.
Help 1979 button. Clickable 6 link opens new window or tab.
Link opens new window or tab.
Link help 1982 open source equals accessible. Button. Clickable 2 duplicate alternative
Okay.
text. Link help button. Clickable 1 image empty alternative text. Link help 4990 button. Clickable 0 a slider is present.
All right. So we saw all the errors here. So
A Saviv warp claw expand error button could be a label. Description.
Astajev says let me try that again, y'all. Astajev Warp Claw says expand error button could be a good label for those buttons. So thank you, Astajev, for that comment in the chat there. Always love to see interaction from folks. So let's expand one of these things now that we know what kind of errors. And it says zero pass. So it says, let me play this again.
Clickable 0 a slider is present.
Zero a slider is zero. So it says zero a slider is present. So I assume that zero means passed. Michael, how does that read in terms of visuals?
Exactly as it shows. So it has. It looks like a green background on the 0, and then it says a slider is present.
The only thing that I could see being an issue here is, again, they can read the documentation, right? But the only thing I see an issue is that they may not know what zero means. Michael, do you think that could be a possible...
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory because it means 0 issues. 0, because it's in green.
Okay, right.
And now it may, you may want to explain that to a screen reader user as that, you just get 0. You don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Or what you could
Passed
say is passed, right? Yeah. Right, but just a 0 alone is not enough context. Is what I was trying to indicate there. Is that kind of clear?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So that's just something to keep in mind. So let's expand one of these issues now. Let's see. What kind of issues do we feel like messing with, Michael?
Taylor, I want you to go to the first one that's covered.
Link help 12 list with free items. Clickable
The first one?
Link help 1983 button.
Insufficient color contrast.
Oh, you want to go there?
Yes.
12 insufficient color contrast. Link help button.
All right.
Affected code. Clickable button.
Now.
1983 open source 12
The-
insufficient color contrast. Link help
Oops,
button.
sorry.
The reason why I want to point this out is it just shows a bunch. It shows each issue and it shows a big blob of code on each of these. If I'm looking at this, and I want you to go ahead and go through this, and I want you to tell me if you could figure out where in this blob of code our issue is.
Okay. I can go ahead and do that. Well,
code.
maybe.
Clickable button. Affected actions. Header equals masthead class equals site header as in my mobile toggle.
Saviv warp claw. I think red equals error, yellow equals warning, and green equals no error, or that would be my guess.
So Astajev says, I think red equals error, green equals...
Yes, that is the
Warning,
case. But it's just not labeled that with the
Yep.
screen readers.
Yep. So, okay. So, Michael, your thought here is you want me to, just to be clear, you want me to go through here and see where the issue is, correct?
Right. So it says affected code, and then it has the code that is causing the issue. So, but I want to see if you can, if this makes sense, the code that's shown. So go
Okay,
ahead and
so-
continue going through.
Let's see here.
Header equals masthead class equals site header as in my mobile toggle. Input type equals https://schema.org/wp header items scope greater list div class equals inside header print container greater list div. Equals site logo greater list ref equals https://world.club/title equals wp for all rel equals home greater list div. Class equals header images logo image alt equals wp for all. src equals https://world.club/wp content/upload/2021/07/service.svg title equals wp for all /greater list
And yes, y'all, you guys are hearing how the screen reader reads code for your information. That is how...
A Saviv warp claw. By the way, your screen reader is reading the comments into the video so we can hear the comments.
Yes.
We're aware.
Yep, we are aware. We are aware. That's just how it is when you're doing live screen reader. But actually, in this case, though, AstroDev, again, it's going to be actually better for accessibility purposes. That way, if somebody can't follow the chat for some reason, they can hear it being read aloud. So actually, in this case, it's probably a benefit. Wouldn't you agree, Michael?
Yes.
Yes. So, right. So, hold on. It's like, okay, so there's an issue with the logo, and then there's an issue with the services page?
So what's interesting is that is it reading it in chunks? Is that how NVDA is reading it, or are you just reading certain?
It's reading it in a big blob.
So this one issue starts with the header, the less than header.
Yep.
And the blob ends way further down the page with some CSS.
RC equals https://forum.club/wp content/upload/2021 less div greater less button class equals menu toggle aria controls data nav equals
So
navigation greater less
it's
tab
reading it in chunks.
And the last thing it shows is color white with all Fs and position relative. And then it breaks and it goes to the next error. But at least this first one is very ambiguous because there's like let's see. At least 30 lines of of code here. I'm not exactly sure. If I were to be looking at this, I'm not exactly sure what the checker is referencing. I know it's in this block, and I know that I could change some things around to see if it would change it. But this does not really give me a good indication of what I'm trying to look at. But this is the only one. I think the other ones are a little bit more understandable. So there is an ignore option as well. I don't know if NVDA is going to read that at some point.
Yes, it will. But in terms of, Michael, like where they're pointing at, as a low vision user, right, because this is an automated tool, what is your opinion?
Asav warp claw. What was the label on the error? That should give us a clue on what the error would be, assuming we know the code.
It says, so these are errors for color contrast.
Correct.
What the problem is here is there are a lot of different colors that are referenced in this one blob of code.
Yes.
That is the reason why some context into the actual error area where the error is would be useful. It might be that they may reference that later on, but in looking at this giant code block, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, like I could play around with values as a developer. I could probably figure it out, but
right.
It's useful to, if there was a way to highlight visually and speak with the screen reader of what color values may conflict, that would be useful.
Yes.
So, Taylor, let's see if we can get past this big blob of code and get to the next ones, which are much simpler.
Color contrast is 100% the hardest thing for us to find and flag. We're hoping to build a feature that will jump to that element on the page in the future.
Okay, did you catch that message, Michael?
Yes, I did. Yes, okay. I did.
And yeah, I agree. Like I said, yeah, Amber, it is the most common thing, but like I said, I think we've got a good start. But in terms of the issues, Michael, is there contrast issues that you see in that part, like on the site itself, as somebody who does have
it's in the header.
Okay.
It's in the header. In that header, I think that there is there could be viewed some contrast issues because the menu is on the white is on a lighter blue. It is easy to see, but I think that for some
this
users,
definitely requires some ability to read code.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely
it does.
Yeah, it does. And that's like I said, obviously, and we're developers, right? So we can understand it, but that's something that we're going to put in the review, right? Mm-hmm. Is that you need to have a good understanding of code in order to get the most out of this checker.
Yeah, it's just I think my only concern is this first this first block has just a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The second block, not so much. So I like it if we can go ahead and move on to that.
All right, let's do that. If I can figure out how to get out of this.
0.24H20 version equals 1.1 XM with 0
Let's
class
see.
equals make items aria view XM ID 20 20 10 aria XM 7 0 39 100 class equals screen reader text equal menu item object menu equal menu equals menu
Let's
item
see.
18,058 greater lesser f equals
Where's it
HTTPS
end? Michael?
So you're looking. The next item says a lesson a class equals double quotes rel equals no follow.
Savage Warp Claw. Does this have a dark mode so it is easier to read with low vision?
Does this have
Good
a dark mode?
question. I have not seen an option to change it to dark mode. It would be based on the WordPress theme though,
Yep.
and that might be
Yes. So
I think if you had a WordPress backend like admin theme that could support a dark mode, then this would switch pretty well to that.
So, Michael, I'm wondering if there's separation for screen readers between errors. Right? Because that's my other concern.
There is a horizontal line. I'm not sure
Okay.
if NVDA will pick that up.
So I read the ignore button.
Okay.
There
There we go.
So do we think the ignore is sufficient enough to be like, okay, the next issue is going to be starting here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
That is a good way.
That is a good way. Okay, so now the next one, let's see.
Amber Hines, it's in a table.
It's in a table. Well, according to the screen readers, it's actually not reading as a table. In fact, I'm glad that you mentioned that because according to the screen readers, if I do it, well, I'm going to do this, Michael, and it's going to probably mess up everything. But if I go to the top of the page and I do T, there is no table.
A Savage Warp Claw. Would CHROME://flags force dark mode be an option then?
Possibly.
But yeah.
But
Sorry.
no, there is no tables
Nope.
on the page.
Not according to the screen reader. Now, maybe visually laid out as a table, but it's
It
not
is.
properly marked up for the screen reader, at least with NVDA. Now, when we go to VoiceOver, we'll see. But with NVDA, it's not properly marked up with as a table. So,
Well, it looks like it's using Web 2.0 div based elements to handle this.
is it? Okay. So, I'm going to find the ignore button. That way, I'm going to use my screen reader search in this case. That'll probably be my best.
Dialog. Selection removed. IGNO.
Oops.
ONGI. IGNO. RE. Page WP for all WordPress. Clickable editor content region button ignore. Site header background color number FFF button ignore. List of class equals
my
button.
back to where was Michael?
HTTPS. Site header background color number FFF color number FFF button ignore. List of class
I
equals no
do
follow,
not
no
think. I think there's ignore within the code.
Nope, there's not. Look, I saw the ignore button.
Okay, so
See, look. Yeah.
go to the next item.
Okay.
equals blank greater less I class equals site and face with greater less slash I greater
Yeah,
less
there
I
we
greater
go.
icon set side widget to a icon set side
Amber
widget to a colon
Hines,
business
oh,
dot
you're
icon set I.
right. It's in DIVS.
Aha!
Wow, I can't believe I missed that.
Huh. No problem, Amber. Yeah, it's in divs. Yeah, unfortunately, divs aren't smart enough to be read as a table. That'd be nice, right? Unfortunately, yeah. I mean,
Well, I don't want to suggest anybody do this. Could you not use an ARIA role of table?
you technically could, but it would be honestly better if it would be tables itself. I mean, you could force ARIA to do it, right? But it's always better if you can, you want to use ARIA where it's needed, but you don't
Well,
want to
here's the problem with tables. Okay.
Okay.
The problem with tables is they're not
Amber Hines,
structured.
no, we should just fix our code.
Tables, in my opinion and view, is they're not very designed for dynamic content, and that's why in these kind of situations, tables are actually not recommended for laying out your content. In fact, it is very much discouraged to use tables for site layout. You use tables to display table data, but not for laying out of content. And that's because if you're using expanding and collapsing, your table columns and rows will cause issues with design, and it can cause a big mess. So divs, are very useful, but that's why I would say, use an ARIA role. It's not forcing the thing to be a table. It's just telling the screen reader to report this as a table, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But
Right. My concern then would be, how would it, would it make up its own columns? How would that actually...
Yeah, you wouldn't... I don't know if
That's
the
my only
screen reader...
concern, is that it could
I don't
be
know if the screen reader would read it
Amber
actually in
Hines,
as
it
that.
might be because if you expand the ignore, it adds a row.
Yes, and tables themselves, you can hide rows and show rows. It's more difficult to do things with those. So
that's my only concern with the ARIA thing. And I didn't mean force it. That's kind of a weird thing, but force the screen reader to try to read a table that's not, could be a weird combination.
So there's no real... If you're going to make it, do what you're trying to do, then I would keep it as divs and just make it to where you have elements that are easy to... Actually, what would be really helpful is some kind of a element on each page for the screen reader to jump from item to item, where you can, like a heading.
Yes.
For
Amber
each.
Hines, would a list be better?
Would a list be better?
I don't know in this case, but I think some kind of heading.
Yes.
To divide up each item.
I think a list could get a little bit cluttered, and you can use L to navigate by list, right? But I think that could be a little bit interesting because it could add bullets and things and stuff to that. So I think a heading would be better in this case.
You could have, and I'm just throwing things out. You could have even have the what does it say? Let me look real quick.
The violation.
The violation where it says 12 photo or color contrast. That'd be a heading 3. I'm just throwing out a number, and then each item under here have something that's a level 4 that you could go to jump by item.
Yep, and Wave kind of does this as well, right? They have everything laid out nicely.
Number 0085 important. Color. Number FFFF important. Font size 16px important. Button ignore. Class equals rel equals no follow Nuclear Morpher title equals Instagram ARIA label equals Instagram ref equals number. Target equals blank greater less I class equals site and Instagram greater less slash I greater less slash a greater dot icon settle side widget to a dot icon settle side widget to a colon visited dot icon settle side widget to a colon focus border radius 50px. Number 0085 important. Color. Number FFFF important. Font size 16px important. Less class equals rel equals no follow Nuclear Morpher title equals LinkedIn ARIA label equals LinkedIn ref equals number.
Assavive warp claw. I think headings would be nice. However, different level headings like H1, H2, H3 labels to jump between levels or something like that.
Yep, exactly what we were talking about. Another piece of feedback that I don't know how you would do, but it would be nice if, almost if you could implement this in the in some kind of a child theme or some kind of a plugin there, where you could go to customize. Because one of the problems with this is you're auditing this page, right? And you're looking at items in the header. You're looking at items in the footer. You're looking at items, that are all throughout the page. But one of the problems is when you're editing a page, you're not able to view the header or footer. You're only viewing the page content. So I don't see, the menu.
But that could be changing with full site editing, though.
I think that will be. Do you think that will be in here or in customize? Because I think that would be under customize.
Oh, well, I don't know, because eventually you can edit the footer and header blocks right in the editor, the full site editor.
Yeah, so that might be useful but it would be nice if there was a way to kind of see, I guess, some of the elements that you're focusing on as you're doing the audits.
Yeah, good point. Let's see. Should we go to a different category, Michael, or is there any other thing you want to
let's go to the next category. So you can also, just to let you know, and this isn't very apparent, is you can actually collapse the category by going to the actual error text itself.
Really?
Less class equals rel target equal less button ignore. Target equals blank greater. Lesser
Wait,
class
what
equals
are
L
you
equals
talking
no
about?
follow. Okay.
So if you go back up to where it says 12 color contrast,
0, 20,
Okay, hold on.
160.
Let me see.
Menu button collapse
sufficient
submenu tool.
color contrast. If
Button
you go to
available.
that,
Menu button collapse submenu details. Toggle out of tool menu button update. Toggle
Whoops.
menu out of edit out of heading left out of edit out of grouping out of edit out of group out of grouping out of edit out of grouping pair block container
Me.
grouping block grid grouping block container click no next heading button expanded toggle panel list with 3 items clickable link details click out of list clickable link held 1983 unsort button link held 12 insufficient color contrast held
So that can-
1983 button
yep, that can also.
clickable link held 12 insufficient color link held 1983 unsort
But those should be a little bit more apparent.
Let's
For-
go to the
for-
broken skipper anchor links.
button clickable 9 broken skipper anchor link held 1962 button affected code affected actions less of target equal button ignore target less of class equals rel equals no follow new or more for title equals Facebook aria label equals Facebook ref equals number equals blank greater less I class equals site and Facebook greater less slash I greater less slash a greater.
So these are pretty easy to understand and get, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think these are pretty self-explanatory.
You know, the only thing I always, my soapbox about these kind of things, and I don't see them here, but anytime you have a nav menu, we want to make sure that, you know, even though they're dead links, that, you know, I don't think that they need to count, because a lot of times the only way to make a accessible menu is to use a dead link with the number sign in the href. That way, WordPress is able to open a screen reader is able to open the submenu without having to go to a web page.
Yep.
Otherwise, though, I think this is very easy to see.
And very easy to navigate for us screen reader users too. Okay, so
Class equals rel equals no actions affected code.
let's
Less
see.
of class equal action affected clickable link held 9 broken skipper link
Should I
held
go
9
the
broken
next one,
skipper anchor
Michael?
link.
I think we're just going to see more of the same.
No, the next category.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's going to be laid out very similarly, but we can do that.
Well,
Held 19 button.
because we kind of want to get a wide variety of issues, right? And then what we're going to do from here is we're going to look at
Incorrect
the-
heading order. Interesting.
Oh,
Clickable 1 incorrect heading
really?
order. Link held 1940 unsort button. Affected code. Actions. Less H button clickable AR button less H3 class equals GB headline 6C22 if GB headline text greater we can hold less slash H3 greater.
Yeah, so this is interesting because, like, technically there's a big debate about this whole thing. About how, like, you know, should you always start with an H1, right? And how, like, technically, according to the research that we've done, like, WCAG is just like, well, you know, like, you can kind of have the heading levels you want. But in terms of usability, you know, obviously, it is always better to have consistent heading structure that is sequential.
Now, I will say this. What's confusing by this is it just says heading level 3 and the heading. But what's the context? What is, I guess I could be looking at the code, but it'd be nice if there is some information like this heading level 3 is the first heading on the page. You may want to have a heading level 2 or a heading level 1.
Oh, yeah, that'd be helpful.
Or this heading level 3 is before a heading level 2. That's a no-no. If I'm just looking at the violations, I might be I am a little confused. And this is the first time I've looked at this plugin. I'm will fully admit I might be there's the whole there's a whole meme of Steve Jobs saying you're holding it wrong when it came to the iPhone 4. And I might just be using it wrong. But just looking at this, going through each category, I think I would have to do a lot more research than I would be prepared for. So that's just some feedback that I could think of.
And that's usability feedback, not in terms
Yes.
of like compliance, but that's usability feedback.
Right, exactly.
So, okay.
Actions. Affected code. Clickable. Link held 19 4 button. Link 1 incorrect heading order. Clickable button. Clickable 1
Alright.
incorrect head. Clickable ARIA hidden.
Aria hidden. Do you want to look at these, Michael?
Sure.
Help 1979. Affected code. Actions. Less SV XML I equals XM less SVG view box equals 00512 aria hidden equals true role equals inversion equals 1.1. MLNS equals HTTP www.w3.org I equals 1 M greater less path D equals M096 C0 13.255 10.745 24 24 24 hours 464 C 13.2550 24 10.745 24 24 10.745 24 24.
Yeah, guys. Like I
So
said, this is NVIDIA reading code at its finest.
These are SVG images.
They are.
And I think they're set to hidden so that the screen reader does not read anything with these. I am not sure what these are used for, though.
24 H24 C 13.2550 24 10.745 24 24 ZM0106 10.74 button ignore.
But what do you think in terms of like the category? Like, do you think it works?
I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure what these are on the page. I kind of, let's see. I'm wondering if I look at this page, if I see, it would be nice to, if I can look at the page and see where the violations would be.
Okay.
But
So, how do we want to? So, are you saying to have like pictures or like screenshots?
well, it'd be neat if it could actually interact with the block editor and actually have,
Almost like Wave does, where it
Right.
interacts with the page.
right, but with the block editor. I think that would be really cool if that could be done.
That would be cool. So that's another piece of feedback for y'all on there. So it'd be cool if the violations again would interact with the block editor.
Like as you're moving or looking at each block, visually you could have like a square or circle with a number corresponding with a item in the accessibility checker panel. That would be a very neat feature.
That would, and then like I said, then I feel like we'd almost have Wave for WordPress, in a sense, right? Because Wave kind of does that too. It says like alert, it reads out the violation with a screen reader, and I'm able to tell what it is.
Right.
Less SVG view box equals 0 XM I 200 0 button less SV XMLNS equals HTTP.
So a lot of SVGs.
Exactly.
Okay, so we see what the other category is, just so we.
Sure. Give me just a second.
Less SVG art. 9 broken skipper clickable button. Clickable link help button. Clickable 1 incorrect heading order. Button. Clickable ARIA hidden. Help 1970 button. Clickable 6 link opens new window or tab. Link help button. Clickable 2 duplicate alternative text. Clickable link help 1982.
All right, so I have the link opens.
Help button. Affected code. Actions. Target button ignore. Target equals blank greater less I class equals site and Facebook greater less slash I greater less slash a greater. The class equals rel equals no follow Newton or for a title equals Facebook aria label equals Facebook ref equals number.
So what do you think about this, Michael?
I was looking at it real quick.
Okay.
So I'm wondering what the violation or the warning is here. It is opening up a new window or tab.
Is it, like I said, warning? I mean, again, we're looking at the documentation, right? But it would be a little bit nice to have like a more clear explanation by each violation of like just, what's the problem? Am I kind of right, Michael?
Yeah, it would be nice to have, when I look at the, when I look at whenever I'm developing, I get the warning or the error and a reason code or a reason to go with it. Or
error message.
Mm-hmm. And it would be kind of nice to put to have some of that context in here as well.
Yep, because we're developers, like I said. So whenever we get our errors, which we get errors a lot, it'd be nice to have a reason and what the problem is. So, good point there.
Equals blank greater less I class equals site and face button less a class equals rel equals no follow Newton or more for a title equals Instagram aria label equals Instagram ref equals number.
Okay, so we kind of get those, about those. I think we've got a couple more categories of those.
Target less actions affected clickable button. Link help 1976 2 duplicate alternative text. Link help
Look at alternative text. Let's see what this is about.
19 button affected code actions less src
So,
equals ht less class equals header images logo image all equals wp for all. RC equals https//forum.club/wp-content/upload/2021/07/service.svg title equals wp for all /greater.
So, yeah, this is one that is interesting. I don't know why they use title equals along with alt text. But I think that's where the warning is there because they're using a title attribute and alt text.
Yeah, for some reason, again, this is a generate press theme, right? It was a template that I found, so who knows? And again, you will see how many issues there were on the site total. It will make you go crazy when we do the full panel, you know, that stuff. So, all right.
Lesser F equals HTTPS slash button
So
FRC
should
equals
we,
HTTPS.
let's see. We have one more category, I think, right, Michael?
Yep, and this one's a big one.
But lesser F
Oh, is it?
button clickable link help button clickable link help clickable 0 ambiguous and clickable link help 0 clickable link help 30 0 a slider clickable link help 4991 image empty alternative text button ignore clickable 1 image button affected code actions less equals w less loading equals lazy src equals https slash /forum.club slash wp content slash upload slash 2020 slash 02 slash meeting.jpg equals class equals wp image 18.
There's no alternative text in that at all, isn't there?
Right, exactly.
Ah.
That one's very evident what's wrong there. So,
Yep. Good job.
you know, it's you know, again, if somebody's not looking, you know, it would be kind of nice to kind of highlight that in red, like this is the error right here, you know.
Yep.
So, because if you're looking at this, like, you know, going quick, you might just kind of glance over it. And, you know, the alt attribute is there. It's just empty.
Yep. And again, it could be used for decorations, but we don't know. Right? Well,
Right.
Or the user may not know. Or, you know, in this case, like, it could be marked down as in an audit. I've seen, you know, for manual testing, it could be marked down as in an audit because we may not know what that image is for, and if it's empty, we're going to assume there, you know, it may be a problem. Right?
Right. And that's all of the categories that are issues.
Okay. Now here's the fun part. So we're going to go, like I said, this stream is longer than I thought it would be. I don't even know what time it is at the moment. But we are going to do, like I said, a quick voiceover. I mean, just to kind of show the differences, right? We'll just kind of go through some of the panels and whatnot. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the full site report. So this has everything from all the pages in a big table. Now, it is a proper table, so that's good. And it reads as a proper table. But I'm sure I'm going to be very curious to see how it looks for you, Michael, visually. I already ran a scan earlier. I'm not going to really show that, like, because, you know, the scan process was very easy and was very accessible. So I already have a scan ready to go. So are you ready to see this, Michael?
Is it open issues under the admin panel?
It is.
Add type.
Let me go over there.
Home.
If I can.
Clickable main menu navigation. Managed by TaylorAccess.com 20 of 20.
Hold on, I'm stuck.
Access clickable main menu navigation. Link skip list click list with visitors out of list submenu link jetpack.
Open.
Next embedded object. List with 3 item link settings. Link sites out of list submit list with 4 items link all posts. Link add new link out of list
You know,
with
I'm
2
just
items
going to
visited
do
link
my...
OPEN. Out of list with 5 items visited link open issues.
that technique.
Accessibility checker settings WP for all WordPress documents. Visited link open issues. Out of list main landmark heading level
What
2.
do you
Accessibility
think of
checker
this,
settings navigation
Michael?
landmark visited link general visited link scan with navigate visited link license. System info heading level 2 edit read only multi-line number no next
Wait.
heading. Out of
Didn't
navigate
I ask for
visited
open
link
issues?
general. Heading level 2 accessibility checker settings. Navigation landmark visited link general. Heading clickable link logout. Toolbar submit out of list submenu link new.
Are
Link
you
0
Michael?
comments and moderation.
I'm on the page, yes.
Okay.
Visit submenu out of list main menu navigation list with 5 items visited link full site scan. Visited link current page settings. Link ignore log. Visited link open issues.
That's weird. I told it focus to go to open issues, and it did not go to open issues.
Open issues
Here we
WP
go.
for WordPress. Main menu navigation landmark link skip to main content. Clickable main landmark open issue nav link fast track. Heading level 2 individual open issues. Visited
Well,
link individual
with
open
this-
issues. Heading level navigate link fast track.
We'll see what the fast track button does in a second.
In level 2 individual open issues. View all accessibility errors and warnings on your website below. To quickly review issues, we recommend utilizing the fast track feature.
Ah.
View all accessibility errors and warnings on your website below. To quickly review and remediate. Select book action.
So I wonder how... We'll look at that fast track feature, do you think, Michael?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do fast track.
Okay.
Issues. View all heading level navigation landmark link fast track. Heading level 2 individual open issues. Open issues WP for all WordPress. Main list with 15 items visited submenu link dashboard. Clickable main landmark open issues. Heading left navigation landmark visited link individual open issue visited link fast track. Heading left fast track allows you to quickly review and fix or ignore HTML snippets that are flagging errors. Warnings on your website all at once. Snippets are ordered by the number of pages affected and the number of failing checks so you can see elements that may have the biggest impact on your website's overall accessibility. What to do? Click review issues they were on. Either fix the issue or create a global ignore to never be warned about this code. Put / issue again if you have determined it's not really an accessibility problem. Heading level 2 pages list navigation 120 of 200 list with 6 items current page 1.
Whoa.
List 120 of 237 issues.
237 issues that time. Huh. At one point I wonder if that's different issues, right? Because I got 1,200 total issues. I'm wondering 200 like unique issues. That makes sense, Michael? Kind of
Yes.
understand.
List with link to link 3.
Now these pages,
Heading.
there's no heading. So guess what? I got to navigate through all these different pages in this thing. Do you know what I'm saying, Michael? Like there's no headings to what?
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
So feedback for that would be add headings so that I can navigate past these page structures without having to arrow through each of these individual things. Because like in this case, I wouldn't even know what to search for to find it, right? I couldn't do a screen reader find. I could possibly press tab.
Link. Link 12. Double right pointing angle bracket. List blank. With 42 rows and 4 columns. Row 1 affected code, column 1 affected code. Affected pages, column 2 affected pages.
Now I'm not sure why the table headers are reading 3 times. Yeah. Not sure. Because it reads affected code. Do you hear how that does it, Michael?
Yeah, I was hearing that. Yeah.
Failing checks, column 3, failing checks. Actions, column 4, actions. Clickable row 2, affected code, column 1, less SVG view box equals 512, aria hidden equals true role equals inversion equals 1.1. XMLNS equals HTTP / height equals 1 m greater less path 222.059 L 151.029 151.033 9.373 9.372 24.569 9.372 33.9420 9.372 9.373 9.372 24.569 33.94
Wow.
289.941.
What? I know, right? What
Well,
do you think of this?
You know, these are great, and it's great that you can see the code and all these things. But again, we come back to context. We come back to context where, it's great that we have code that's flagged, but it would be nice to have additional tools to show errors, show ways to fix it, and those kind of things.
Yep. So, yeah, like I said, because I think I didn't really see any other settings for this plugin, did I? Like I said, I don't think I really skipped, because I mean, we already did the scan, right? I could show how to do that again, but we already ran the scan.
I think we've pretty much covered a lot of everything here. I think we would just be showing the same stuff over and over again, even if we're just looking at different content. But I think it's a great way to get an understanding of what's on your website. And it's a good, I would say it's a great start towards a fully accessible way to get this content.
Yes.
Or for somebody that's using a screen reader to be able to do the same as what somebody can with the Wave and all those tools that use images.
But believe it or not, Wave makes their stuff fully accessible.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's others that don't, but
Right.
Wave does. And I think that
is pretty good, although I've had some weird issues with it. But yeah.
But this is a great start for WordPress integration, and I think that if it can be improved some, then it's going to be even better.
Yep. And I see a lot of people being able to use it. The last thing we're going to do before we end this long, crazy stream is we're just going to show some of these issues on the Mac and how they compare and contrast with VoiceOver. Does that sound like a plan, Michael?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
All right, so we're going to switch to the Mac. But before we do that, though, let's take a little chat break. So if we have any chats that are coming through that people would like to ask or would like to say, different things, let us know. Put them in the chat while we switch over to the Mac, and we won't have the stuttering audio. Yay! Hopefully that will be gone when I switch. Hopefully Windows 365 is going to be good, and we won't have that problem for much longer. But anyways, let's switch over to the Mac, and I'll see you on the other side. But if we have chats, I would like to see them, and Michael would too as well. And we'll wrap this thing up. But what we're going to do is we're going to show the same issues that we saw on Windows. We're going to try to replicate them on Mac, and we're going to compare and contrast. So let me get out of my VM.
VoiceOver on move to bottom
All
button.
right.
System preference Safari. Safari dashboard vertical
And guess what?
dashboard.
I'm already in my dashboard. That is awesome. I'm just going to leave my VM open. Yeah, I have to leave my VM open for chats. So, I don't see any chats, or I haven't heard any come through the stream. So, let's see what we're going to do with the Mac. So, let's see. Let us...
Dashboard in
I'm going
link.
to go to the accessibility checker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the pages, like I said, what we kind of talked about like before, right? With the all images and whatnot. We're going to see if we can find any more issues or if there's none. What I'm going to do in this case, again, FYI, I'm not as good of a Mac user as I am Windows.
Window spots menu. Landmarks menu. No items. Form controls menu. Headings menu. Links menu.
But I did VOU, so VO keys basically will allow you, they're like the modifier keys. I actually have mine set to caps lock, but you could do control and option as well. Right, Michael?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Control option.
Control option. So VO keys or voiceover keys is what they're called. And they're like the NVDA key or the JAWS key. And then I did the rotor, VOU, and then I went left arrow to the links menu. So I did the same thing I kind of did in Windows on Mac. So let's find our accessibility checker.
Load link. All posts. Menu pop-up link. Accessibility checker. 9. Menu
That
pop-up
worked
link.
well.
Accessibility checker. List
There
visited
we
link.
go.
Accessibility
I'm
heading
going to do
level.
my headings with caps lock H.
Heading level 3. WordPress accessibility auditing by link. Equalize Digital. Heading level 4. Quick start guide. Accessibility
Alright.
checker is here to help you make your website more accessibility or season pro. If you've installed the plugin for the first time, follow these steps. Check 1. Visit the link and simple 2. Go to the edit screen for the post or page that you would check. Edit screens. 3. Are you the backend edit screen to view accessibility checker? 4. Post. See more information about those errors or warnings. And 5. Code. Know what an error or warning means. Click the eye icon.
Yeah, click the eye icon. That's something that could be a little bit visual, right, for documentation purposes. You kind of agree, Michael? Like the eye icon, somebody who's blind
Yes.
wouldn't be able to see the eye icon. So I'm glad I caught that. Right, so it's an instructional thing, right? So maybe instead of saying that, click the whatever, like the informational or whatever button label you decide to give that. Make sure that that's clear because the eye icon is not going to be helpful for screen reader users trying to use this for the first time. So I'm glad that I caught that now, Michael.
To link over to our documentation for additional info. 6. Warning. Update your page or post to see the accessibility report change. Your goal is to get every page to say 100% pass tests. Watch the video if you would like to see an overview of how to get application. Link. Read video transcripts. Heading level 4. Documentation
So
and
did
FAQs.
VoiceOver skip that on the unlabeled image, Michael?
It sounded like it. Can you go back?
Link. Frame 0. Watch the frame 0. Heading level 1. Link.
Frame 0.
Accessibility checker WordPress plugin. Get
Oh. That's not very helpful, is it?
Doesn't seem like it.
No, frame 0, y'all, that's another version of an unlabeled thing. At least that's how it read with VoiceOver. Now, on Windows, that wasn't read as an iframe, correct? That was read as I don't even know what it was read as.
Just, I think it was basically an iframe, but it was read as frame 0.
On Mac, but not on Windows. Right?
Correct.
So, frame 0, yeah, again, that's a Vimeo thing. And again, this is why we want to use YouTube or some... You can use Vimeo, but just keep in mind it's not the most accessible for screen reader users.
Heading level 2 items. From Equalize Digital. End of back play. Button. 0. Progress bar.
0,
Slider.
progress bar slider.
Choose captions. Menu settings. Enter full screen. Enter full screen.
You know
So,
what?
there's... What?
That seems a lot more accessible on the Mac.
It does. But you see why we do audits on both Windows and Mac? Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
Because we're comparing and contrasting. We're comparing and contrasting with VoiceOver versus NVDA or JAWS or whatever. We're comparing and contrasting, and this is kind of what we do, right? We have both operating systems available to us, and then we compare and contrast the issues between the two. Right? And this is exactly why, because we have the right tool for the right job. So I almost argue if you're in the accessibility field, you should really know how to use both operating systems. And you should preferably have both on you if you can. Because then you can do the best tool for the right job. Right? We always talk about this all the time.
Right.
But it's more true than ever. Right? Because look, this Vimeo layer is a lot more accessible on Mac than on Windows. So that's just something to keep in mind. Right? It's just an interesting thing. So I'm going to stop interacting because you have to do interaction. So caps lock, shift, up arrow, and down arrow will interact and de-interact. You have to, like I said, it'll tell you.
Main.
And, okay.
Content information. Thank you for creating with.
All right, so we reviewed that part. So let's see. Let's next here. Let's go to the next page here.
End of list. Link. Additional resources for learning. Link. Can I hire?
Let's
Link.
see.
Link.
There's FAQs.
Link. Watch the video of
Let's see.
and 6.
I'm gonna go to
Link. Image. Equalize Digital.
Oops.
Main. Link. End of. Link. Log out. End. Heading level 4. Quick start guide.
Okay, so let's see. What was the next
End of
tab we
list.
wanted to go,
List
Michael?
one item. End of list. Link.
me see.
Menu pop-up. Link. New. 4. Link. 0 comments and list toolbar. End of list. Collapse main. End of list. Link.
Here,
Full
you know
site
what?
scan.
I'm
5 of
gonna
5. Enter search text. Previous search list.
I think we went to
List.
summary, then details.
Well,
A C E F T A E
whoops.
End of list. Collapse main menu. End of toolbar.
Well, we went
List
to
5.
the accessibility.
Enter search text.
Right.
Previous search list A C E F T E R. Heading level 2. Welcome to accessibility. Heading level. Link. Image. Equalize Digital. Main. Link. Log out.
Okay.
And menu pop. List one item. End of list.
see.
List one item. Menu pop up. Link. Howdy Taylor. One
Yep,
list
okay,
and link.
so-
Menu link. 0
Let me
comments and
get
menu
back
pop
up over there. It keeps jumping me to the
link.
first thing, but
Google
Oops.
search.
Let me see if I can get
HTTPS
over
colons
there.
link.
All
Main
right,
menu.
so-
Navigation. Enter search text. Previous search. Accept main menu. Navigate link. Skip to
okay, so
toolbar.
accessibility.
Enter search text. A C E R. Accessibility checker. Visited. List 5 items level. Current page.
Perfect.
Visited. Link. Open issues. 2. Link. Ignore lock. Link. Settings.
Let's go to settings. Like we
Link.
did last time.
Accessibility checker
Again, we're
setting.
going through the exact same procedure. That's the key. I want to go through the exact same procedure we did on Windows. Obviously, it won't take as much time, right? But we're kind of comparing and contrasting. This is exactly kind of what we do. Let's see.
Heading level. Navigation. Link. General.
Okay?
Link. Scan. Link.
Those are pretty labeled.
End of heading level. Use the settings below to configure accessibility checker. A link. Plugin
And
documentation.
all I'm doing here is I'm doing caps lock and right arrow to move with the VO keys, right? Because you're doing a lot of stuff. And I'm not going to do a whole voiceover lesson. There's a lot of other places to do that. Again, this video would be doubly as long, right? That's why I kind of went through some NVDA stuff as well. But there's just a lot to learn with screen readers, so we can put some resources. But yeah, it's definitely trying to learn screen reader and do accessibility like that can be sometimes a little bit interesting. Let's see. So we've got.
Period. Post types to be checked. Post. Checked. Checkbox.
Okay, that works well.
Post. Page. Checked. Checkbox. Page.
Although, do you see how it says post checkbox check page? It didn't do that on Windows, did it, Michael?
Right.
So do we wonder why does that happen? I wonder.
I think it's how they focus on different things, different elements on the page.
So I don't think it's an accessibility issue per se, is it?
I don't believe so.
Nope.
Pass. Username. Username. Edit text with autofill menu. Duo. One password menu of one password lock.
And of course, that's my one password because that is my favorite password manager. It's awesome.
One password
Right,
menu
but
of.
then it kind of says a password.
If your website is on a delete all accessibility checker data when the plugin is uninstalled. Delete all ignore permissions. Administrator. Editor. Author.
Okay.
Subscribe. Choose. Heading level 2. Simplified summary. Web content. Link. Prompt for simplified summary. When required. All should simplify.
Okay.
Before the after the content.
So, let me.
Before the content. Link.
Alright,
End of.
so-
Link. Heading level. Navigation. Link. General. Link. Scan.
I'm going to see over here and scan.
Accept. Link. List 15. Heading level. Link. General. Link. Scan. Heading left. Back. Never. Pop. Backgrounds. Never. Menu
Okay,
3.
good. These combo boxes are able to be checked. And caps lock and space, we'll check those. Or VO space, we'll open those. Sorry, not check them. We don't check combo boxes last time I checked. That would be a little bit weird, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
Weekly. Monthly. Checkmark. Weekly.
All right, so that's a good thing there.
Closing menu. Save changes. Button.
Okay, so we did that one.
And link. System info. Link. License. Link. Scan.
Scan.
Link. Scan. Heading level. Background. Never. Pop up.
Wait.
Background. End of link.
Did it
System
change?
info. End of navigation.
And again, the tabs don't read, or we were kind of talking about tabs earlier. But yeah, are these supposed to be tabs as well, Michael, for settings?
Yes.
And again, those tabs are not also reading like tabs as well in the Mac. Right? So that's something to keep in mind as well.
That's correct.
Yep. All right. So we looked at the settings. Let's see here. Let me go
Link, license, link, system
make
info,
sure this works. System info.
link, heading level, download, end of, content, and clickable text, number, begin.
Clickable text. I wonder what kind of control that is. That's really weird. Really weird. Really reading interestingly weird on Mac. Do you kind of agree, Michael?
It is. I'm trying to look and see what it is, but it looks like a whole container area is highlighted.
Oh, really?
Text, new, number, begin system info, generated July 28, 2021, 015828, number.
It's almost like it's marked down.
No, it's not marked down. It's a log file, is what it's. It's basically reading like a log of the scan.
But what kind of control?
Heading level 2, system, clickable text.
Clickable text. I've never seen that before, have you?
It looks like it's a text area that is clickable. That's all I can think of.
It's interesting because on Windows it doesn't read it like that. It just reads it as normal text area. So that could be interesting because people will be like, ooh, I can edit this log file. Not that they would, but, it's just a weird thing to think about. You kind of, you know what I'm saying there, Michael?
Right.
So, I don't know about that. Okay. So, that reads well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, we're obviously not going to go through all the categories again because we already did that. But what we're going to do is we're going to see if those help buttons, how they read on Mac, and how the expand buttons, and how everything just flows on Mac, on the home and the other issue pages. So let's go to home like we were before.
Heading, end
and
of,
I'm just going to
menu, list one item, end of list.
Go to my
Links menu.
Yep.
Load menu pop-up link posts. Menu pop-up link pages. Menu pop-up link pages. Pages.
Okay.
Pages.
Table.
WP for all. Word in.
Whoops.
Link.
Hit the
Skip to
trackpad
link.
by
14-point Apple System UI font. A shade of Dodger Blue 3 on Gray 94.
Well, that wasn't intentional.
List 15 items.
Not sure what happened there. Okay, hold on.
Heading level
Roster
1.
being-
Pages.
Okay.
Link. Add new. Heading. Current page. Visited. Link. All 11. Link.
And it says current page. That could be a strategy you guys use for the settings, right? Where it says current page or current
Correct.
whatever. That could be a good strategy you could use there on some of those tabs.
Search pages. Bulk actions.
And what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to do the search.
Enter search text. Previous 8. Select home. Unchecked. Checkbox.
And that we were at the second one, right, Michael?
I believe so.
Link. Home.
All I'm doing here is I'm pressing down arrow like I'm
Edit. Link. Taylor. Link. New line. Note. Published. 2004. 85%. 9. 7. 12. 0.
97120. Those table headers. Hold
12. Ignored accessibility warnings.
Okay. I was like, wait, those table headers, obviously, yeah, if I just do down arrow, I can do it really quickly, but I was like, wait, those table headers seem a little bit weird. Do you kind of agree, Michael? But obviously,
Yeah,
it's just kind of how you
for sure.
Interact with the table.
Right.
So if you do VO right arrow, you'll be able to see it. But anyways, I just had to check that out.
Ignored accessibility row. Select home. Link. Front link. Home. Edit. Front
I'm
link.
going to edit.
Main. Heading level 1. Edit page. Editor top bar. Visited. Switch to
Okay.
draft. Up. Settings.
I'm gonna-
Selected. Toggle button. Heading level 1. Heading level 3. Headline. Heading level 4. Edit text. Headline. Paragraph block.
Like,
Group.
I actually am not very good at using the block editor with a Mac. So, that is, yeah. Those tutorials will be coming later because I'm not that great at it. But what I would recommend doing here, since there is so much content anyways, I would just do your voiceover search, right? Because you've got so much stuff in here, it will take you forever. You kind of agree with, like,
Enter
you know,
search
you've got-
text.
Oh, yeah.
Previous A C T E R. Heading level 2. Accessibility. Toggle panel. Accessibility checker. Expanded. Link. Summary. Link. Details.
Again, is summary selected by default, correct, Michael?
Summary is the first one by default, yes.
Right, but again, it's not reading, right, as well, like the same
Correct.
issue on Windows.
Correct.
Link. 8 past tests are 83%. Past 10. Errors. Region 12. Contrast errors. 17. Warnings.
Okay, so let me go
Error.
to
10. 83%. Link. Summary. Link. Details. 12. Insufficient. Link. Button. Link.
Okay. So, on the Mac, we've got a unlabeled, it literally just says the words link. Correct?
Yep.
And then on the button, well, it's a similarity to Windows. It just reads button. So, let me make
Button.
sure that I can expand this with VoiceOver.
Affected code. Actions. Less than header equals masthead class equals site header has inline mobile toggle.
So we've got the same issues there. Now we're not going to go through all this again, but what we are going to do is make sure that I can access the ignore button, because obviously that would be very helpful. I mean, that'd definitely be very, very useful to make sure that I can actually ignore the issues and get to the next one. But again, I think headings and more context and everything we talked about in Windows will apply on Mac.
Edit page. WP for vertical.
Whoops,
Edit page.
I just hit the wrong button.
Enter
Okay.
search text. Ignore button. Less than the class
Good.
equals.
Those read perfectly. Ignore is fine. That reads on the Mac. That's great. So, all right. So, we're not going to go through all those different categories again because, we'd be here all night. You know what I mean?
Right.
But what we are going to do is we're going to check the fast track and that stuff. And then, do you think this review would be a wrap, Michael?
I believe so.
This has been awesome, though. Like I said, let me know if I don't even know if anybody's still watching in the chat, but this has just been an awesome review. I've enjoyed myself. So,
Editor and
hopefully
option.
Amber and the Equalize Digital team can learn a lot from this and other plugin developers as well.
Editor heading level 1.
Okay, so I'm going to go to my...
HTTP.
Uh-oh.
Out text sidebar.
So,
Edit page. In
I'm
edit
going to
heading.
go...
Enter search
and,
text. O P P O
let's see.
O P N space I S S E S.
Whoa.
Editor top bar. Heading level 1. Edit page. Sidebar. Tab bar. Toolbar. Go
I'm
back.
just gonna
Menu.
Go back.
Pages. WP for
Yeah.
out sidebar. Pages.
And I'm
Link.
going to go to...
Links menu.
Amber
Link.
Hines, I really
Open issues.
appreciate the detailed feedback.
Amber really appreciates the detailed feedback. Well, I'm glad that we were able to help Amber. And like I said, feel free to, share it with your team. Like I said, I want as many people to watch this as possible because I want them to be able to understand how to make it accessible. And even if it's not their plugin, right? To understand kind of how a team of blind, visually impaired, because we're not only auditors, we're users, but we're also developers. So getting that unique feedback from us and others, like us, try to understand how we can audit and how we do things as a team, I think really could help a lot of WordPress people.
Link. Open issues.
Open issues.
Link. Open issues. Current page.
All right.
Visited. Link. Heading level. Navigation. Link. Individual open issues. Link. Fast track.
I'm going to go to fast track, right, Michael? Is that what we wanted to do?
Yep. That's what we were talking about.
Link. Fast track. Heading level. What? Heading level 2. 1. 1. Current page. Link. 2. Link. 3. Ellipse. Link. Right pointing double arrow. Table 5. Affected code. Affected. Failing checks. Column 3 of 5. Actions.
Now,
Column.
it's interesting. On Windows, these headers read 3 times. On Mac, the headers read once.
Interesting.
Yeah. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did.
So I'm wondering why. I don't know. Very interesting. Okay, so...
Row 2 of 4. Affected pages. 33. Column. Affected code. Less than SVG. View box equals 00512 ARIA hidden equals true. Role equals im. Version equals 1.1 XMLNS equals menu. Open
Jesus.
issues. HTTP. Pages.
Okay.
WP for all.
So
WordPress.
here's the deal. Hold
Affected.
on.
Affected. In tab 5 point menu. HTTPS colon slash slash.
I can't, it reads the code all in one line, but if I wanted to actually review it, I can't actually do that. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And you may have to use different voiceover navigation commands to do that. But
You can't interact, you can't do anything that, what else could you?
can you do VO right arrow?
No. Well, I
End of
can.
text. Version
but
5 point out of end of content. Version 5.8. Period. Link. WordPress.
Well, I can, and it jumps me all the way to the bottom of the page.
I'm actually looking. Yeah, if you could get some code selected, like have it read it, and I'm looking for your voiceover.
Ellipsis. At row 42. Failing checks. Affected page. Affected code. Affected code. Column 1 of 5. Row 4. Failing check. Affected code. Less than the class equals. Rel.
Got code.
Okay, so if you interact with that,
In text. Important. Less than the class equal. Less than the class equals. Rel equals. No follow Nukener nor FR. Title equals. Dribble.
you're
Label
right.
equals.
Yes,
Dribble.
you cannot.
href equals.
You cannot go item by item. What if you use right arrow by itself right now,
Nothing.
or turn on quick nav?
Quick nav on. 5.8.
Oh, it just jumped.
Quick nav off.
Yeah, there seems to be some issues there.
Yeah, so
And
that's
I'm
something.
I'm not sure how much of that is voiceover, how much of that is the page, but at the same time, I'm sure
And
there's
how
a
much
way.
of it is myself.
Right, but I'm sure there's some ways to improve usability there.
Yep. Again, it's all about the usability, right? It's technically compliant. You can read the information, but it's all about the usability here. How does it look visually or not?
Looks
visually.
the same as it does on Windows.
Okay. So, do we have any other things that we need to talk about with this?
No, I think it's time. I mean, I think it's a good time to wrap up. We've been
Yeah,
going at this for about 2 hours, so
I know.
I think that's a perfect time to give our final
So
thoughts.
let's wrap it up. So, okay, let's wrap it up. So, let's talk about the positives first, right? It's a really good way for people to have, an accessible way of doing this, right? And what I mean is that they can get the information that they want, for, like, the accessibility in terms of, like, they can understand the code, they can understand what's wrong. It's a really good automated way to help check your sites.
Right.
I like the emphasis on the manual testing aspect where it basically says, hey, automated tests can only catch so many issues. You really should get this audited by a professional, who can do manual screen reader audits, like I said, like ourselves or others. I really like the emphasis on that. I really like how most elements are labeled. There's just a couple things that could be improved, but what I would say is overall, this could be a really awesome tool for blind WordPress developers or other developers as well to get the information to help remediate sites with automated technologies. The other thing that I would say is that, it's, like I said, it's a really awesome start, and I'm super excited to be doing this review because, what I also think is that once it can be, or you can add manual results and then you can export reports, I think that's going to be an awesome tool to contend with. Michael, what are your concluding thoughts on everything?
So I think
On
it's
the positive side.
On the positive side, I think it's a great plugin. I think it's a great way for sure for educational purposes, and I
Yes.
think that it's a good way for people to know, oh, this is what's going on. I need to look at this. I like that it has the ability to, if an issue is not an issue, you can ignore it. And I like, I'm a low vision person. I love color. So the summary page was beautiful. The detail pages have a lot of gray. That code is just a lot of gray, kind of boring. So if we could spice that up, I think it would make it look great. I mean, even if you, I think if you kind of change the color of the of each issue to almost be that warning or the error code colors, that would be nice and a good high contrast method for low vision users, and highlight the errors and talk about the issues as well. Those things would go a long way to helping get people really into your plugin. So I really like the attention to color there on that front page, and I really like I really enjoy going through and kind of looking at those things on the on each page, on each post page, and on the full site scan.
Yeah. So let's talk about things that could be improved, right? Because honestly, this is an awesome plugin, right? But we want to try to give feedback that could help. So what I would say is that button or element labeling could be improved, and so could wording in terms of documentation. For example, the eye icon, right? That could be improved. but as well as the help _40 whatever, or the unlabeled button, or the link right as on the Mac. We need to make sure that all the elements have proper and clear, concise labels. In addition to that, what I also would agree with Michael completely and wholeheartedly is that we want more context. We want reasons why, almost like I said, like a developer, right? Because a developer is going to be kind of familiar with error codes, but if they're just given a sample code snippet, they're going to be like, what's the problem? So we want to be able to have where we can have the error, like context in terms of, almost like for developers, right? And so that could be improved. And then what I would say is the tabs, those could be improved as well to make sure that they're focusable, and that not only focusable, but you can tell which tab is currently selected. And in terms of that, and also trying to figure out a good way to separate items, like with headings and whatnot. But other than that, I think that this could be a really good tool, and it's a really good start for blind developers in terms of making accessible WordPress sites. What are your final thoughts for low vision, Michael?
So my final thoughts, I think, we talked about color. Those things could be improved. Like we talked about earlier, being able to see examples, or like being able to look at the violations in the block editor. That would be amazing. That would be wonderful. And being able to see issues in the actual header itself or the footer, instead of just kind of going at the word of the checker. And because I could look at what's on the actual page or the post and be like, okay, I could correlate these things, but otherwise I have to have a new tab open and kind of comparing. So, these are small things, easy to fix, and I think that they can be done, and I'm really excited to see where this plugin goes from this point forward.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. But before we wrap up, if you enjoyed today's stream and you would like to help support Taylor's Tech Talks, or even Michael with the Techopolis YouTube channel, which I will link in the chat, you can become a member at taylorstechtalks.com. We've got a Patreon page. And if you join at the $1 level per month, you get access to our awesome Discord community. And then we're actually making a big announcement. So you guys are the first ones to know about this. So we're going to change up our tiers a little bit because we want to have a lot more streams, right? And so our early access is going to become our pre-show tier, where you will get access to our exclusive Taylor's Tech Talks pre-shows on Discord. And you will be able to talk with us, get insider access, interact with the community, have fun before the streams, right? And then our other one, $6 is a VIP. So those will be after we're done with the stream in general. The VIPs can kind of come on and be on the stream as well, right? In the Q&A portion, right? Or the kind of after, right? In terms of that. So those are some of the streams. The honorable mentions will kind of stay the same, but we'll definitely be updating those in the future. That's at $3 a month. But if you would like to join Patreon, patreon.com/Taylor's Tech Talks, or you can go to taylorstechtalks.com/Patreon to donate as well, and become a monthly supporter and get access to all of our exclusive features, and make sure that Taylor's Tech Talks will be able to continue the awesome content that we do. So, Michael, would you also like to give where people can support you and kind of that stuff?
Sure. So I do a podcast network called the IAcast. We have a Patreon where you can hear all of our hilarious outtakes and other content. Patreon.com/IAcast. And we've started, like Taylor talked about, the Techopolis Live show on YouTube. That just be on the lookout for tweets from us about that. And I'm Mike Doey's on Twitter and all over the web. So
yep, Taylor _Art22 on Twitter, and Taylor's Tech Talks .com, and you can follow Taylor's Accessibility Services LLC on Facebook and all the things like that. So hopefully this was helpful, guys. I'm gonna leave the chat or room open just for a couple minutes to get some lingering chat messages, but I think that this is going to be a wrap. But it was awesome, and I'm really looking forward to our next review.
Yep, exactly.
So we'll just leave the chat open for a second, and we'll make sure that don't have any more lingering messages, and if we do, we will go ahead and address those before we head off the air. But this has been awesome. So
For sure.
I'd say, first stream with this kind of setup hasn't gone too badly.
No,
But yeah.
and the Mac really does work really well for a streaming setup.
Yeah. So let me see here. I don't see any chats, but again, I'll just kind of give it a little bit because sometimes they lag. But yeah, this has been an awesome stream. Super, I loved it. It was awesome. And yeah, you can, like I said, it'll be definitely published on YouTube as well after the fact. So if you want to watch it later on, you can do that as well. And yeah, feel free to share with your friends as well. And if you have a plugin that you would like to be reviewed for accessibility by Michael and I, you may email me at taylor@tayloraccess.com. You can also fill out my contact form on my website, tayloraccess.com, which, by the way, is my new company site. And just for those who don't know, maybe, or who do know, I am a blind business owner who owns Taylor's Accessibility Services, LLC, where I provide website development, WordPress consulting, and accessibility, remediation, auditing, and development for companies, universities, and governments who I primarily work with. I have worked with some individuals as well on some training, but I've been in the industry for 3 years, and basically goal is to help people get online for the first time if that's what they want to be and do, or to help them make themselves more accessible, more inclusive for all. And so auditing, training, compliance, I've had to do expert witnesses, serving it on trial. So that's just a little bit about myself, just to kind of end the stream. But I don't think I have any more chat messages, but this has been an awesome stream. So I look forward to seeing the next one. All right, guys, I think that will do it, and we'll end the stream.
5.8.
All right.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Zoom.us. Zoom.us.
All right.
Your image. You move to. Your image. Stop share. Stop share.
Stop the share.